Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Blues Down Under, care of the Mancunian Way. Your host, Patrick. Back in the chair again. Another session, another midweek session to chat with everybody. Happy 1st of July. I think this is the second half of the year is pretty much starting now. It's also a sad day because we officially say goodbye to Bernardo Silva and John Stones. But look, we've already given them plenty of farewells, haven't we, so far this season? But to talk about all things City, and I'm sure we'll talk plenty about the World Cup as well. I'm joined by Rich and Governor. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Good to see you again.
Evening.
You're on mute, mate.
On mute, mate.
Yep. It's Happy Canada Day. So to any Canadians.
That's right. It is Canada Day.
Yes. Your brothers in Australia.
Yeah.
Happy Canada
Forgot about
Day.
that. Yeah. Shout out to the Canadians. Yep. I know there's a few. I know there's a few that watch the show as well too, and a few of the guys up there. Vancouver, OSC, Toronto, Calgary, or Montreal. I know a few of them as well. Big up Happy Canada Day to them.
Yeah. Well, I suspect it's not quite. Well, it's not quite Canada Day yet, is it? In Canada, it's about to become Canada.
Oh no,
Day.
no, it is. The East Coast 14. They're 14 hours, so they'll be having their early morning maple syrup and pancakes. Yeah, wouldn't be Canada Day without some stereotypes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Probably yelling at some black geese as well. Yep. Yeah. No, so it's all good. Guys, obviously, we've been away for a couple of weeks. I've myself have just been over in the United States and Canada myself, actually, just enjoying everything to do with the World Cup. And as I mentioned, I'm sure lads will have plenty to talk about that. We actually just found out Rich is probably going to have a Rich rant in a few minutes' time in regards to the World Cup as well. So look forward to that anyway. Of course, we'll have transfer news. A little bit quiet over the last, 24, 48 hours, but there are some talks about certain players coming in, certain players going out, but remains to be seen. And, of course, now that the knockouts of the World Cup are coming through, more City players are coming home early. Better chance of stronger squads coming in. Maresca obviously been announced. We've got to talk about that. We'll see how it goes. Very
important for you two on Blues Down Under. He's not called Sandro Tonali. He's called the Italian Jamie Pollock. Okay, so if you're going to talk about signing the Italian Jamie Pollock, that's how he has to be referred on this show.
Big up, everyone. We'll just see who's in the building. Oh God, my camera's doing the business again.
I'll give you now you've said that, I'll give you a good. I'm not a stats person, but I've got a brilliant stat that when Maresca played for West Brom, he played against Jamie Pollock, the City.
Did he?
Maresca played against Jamie Pollock.
Nice. Nice.
That's a good stat.
The question is, I've seen, at City West Brom's probably one of the games I've seen the most, because when I was living down south, the Midlands, used to go to all the Midlands games. Was it at home or away? And was it for City or was it for someone else?
No, he played for West Brom, and Jimmy Pollock was playing City, with City against West Brom.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I was there. I'm gonna have to try and look that game up.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised if I was at that game.
I think it would have been at West Brom, I think.
Yeah, I think I've seen City at the Hawthorns probably 4 or 5 times, and
I couldn't believe that.
Seen it a couple of times at Main Road.
Maresca playing against him. I couldn't believe that.
Classic. Yeah. Well, Maresca's a bit slimmer, isn't he? He's kept his training up a bit more than Jamie Pollock did.
What, 46 years old? He's looking relatively good for a 46-year-old, I must say.
Yeah. Very grey, but very healthy.
Have they put an 100 mil target on Tonali now?
I think they're always going to. I mean, Newcastle are probably going to will think like the money we just got for Anthony Gordon. Why not be ambitious for price tags for Bruno G or for Tonali, or
we should offer them Rico Lewis and they give us Tonali and 10 million.
What about Trafford? Because he is rumored with Newcastle.
He's worth more than bloody the Italian Jamie Pollock.
No, I don't want him. I don't want him really.
As Trev puts it, Jamio Pollokia.
Yeah. Sandro Pollock.
Pollokia sounds like an Italian, like a curse word or something.
Yeah.
It sounds
I bet he couldn't score an own goal like Jamie Pollock either.
Oh no.
Oh no. Nobody can emulate that. No. I'm surprised they don't have that sort of thing on like Mythbusters or something. Like, is it actually physically possible for any other person to do that? Yeah.
Remember those spot the balls you used to do to win?
Oh yeah.
No, yeah.
The Jamie Pollock version of that.
Everybody would get it wrong, and then when you showed the actual answer, everybody like, surely not.
Yeah. How'd you manage that?
Yeah. Let's quickly chat about the World Cup. Obviously, getting into the nitty gritty now, the knockout stages. From this side of the pond, obviously looking forward to Saturday morning over here with a big match in the round of 32 against Egypt. Our young guys, our Geordie bosses, Nestori Irankundas and the likes will be going up against obviously Mo Salah, coming towards the twilight of his career, and of course Omar Mamouche looking to get himself in some good form for Egypt and hopefully for City for the next season. But anything strike you in particular? I mean, for me, probably the thing that's just captured the imagination for me has obviously been Norway. They've been playing some good football. They had a really good performance against who did they play this morning? Was it Ghana? No, it wasn't Ghana. It was Cote d'Ivoire. It was Ivory Coast.
Cote d'Ivoire.
I
give them a really good chance against Brazil.
I do too. Yeah.
I think they can beat Brazil, and I reckon that they've kind of gone this way. Had they gone the other way, they'd have Spain, and I reckon Spain would be a lot wilier at dealing with, because France are going to play Spain, aren't they, in the next round, most likely. I think so. Yeah.
I think they do fall on that side of the table, because I believe that Spain is playing Austria in their next game coming up in probably the next 24, 48 hours, I believe.
Yeah.
I had a copy of the table here, and I was just you look at it, and then 5 minutes later you lose track of who's playing. But yeah, Norway definitely playing Brazil. That's confirmed.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, France will play Paraguay, and then Canada will play Morocco. So
yeah,
I believe we're about halfway through the round of 32 matches being completed, or maybe just a little bit past halfway. But no, Spain actually play Algeria. Apologies, Governor, and then they play the winner of Portugal and Croatia.
Spain,
so we're looking at an Iberian derby basically in the next round, or potentially.
Yeah. Is that young kid who's getting a lot of praise at the back for the Aussies? Is it Harrington?
Yeah. You got the young 18-year-old guy. Yeah,
but I thought Geordie Boss has been playing really well.
He's been unbelievable. Yeah.
There's
a reason why now there is a bit of rumor about some Premier League clubs being linked to him as well too. He's just, he's almost like a Melburnian style Cucurella. Like, he just dies to get forward. He just wants to get forward every opportunity he gets.
Does he play in the Scottish League? Is that Hibernian?
No, he's at Feyenoord. He started the Eredivisie season last season. He actually won Player of the Month for the first 2 months.
Yeah,
under Robin van Persie, and you know, he probably he slowed down a little bit over the course of the season, but I think he still bagged at least a decent amount of goals and a handful of assists, and that you know helped them get into European football for next season as well too. So he's been a very good addition for them, you know, and a Melbourne City lad as well too. You know, came up through there, and
all right,
yeah, okay. Just I think he's definitely a player to look for, not just going forward for the Socceroos, because I think if he keeps at that rate, he'll play at the Socceroos for 10 years basically. But the only way is up for him, and I think certainly a lot of teams will be paying attention. I'm never the biggest fan about saying that, you know, teams should flock to certain players because they perform well for a tournament over a few weeks and that.
Yeah.
But the World Cup does bring the attention of a lot of teams, and you know,
they're in the shop window, Pat.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. There is a sense of shop window.
His brother's playing in the Eredivisie, isn't he, as well? His brother's like.
Well, Jordy Boss has. I didn't know Jordy Boss had a brother.
I think he's got a brother. He played for Mainz, and is on loan in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Because they're like Dutch family, aren't they? I mean, he's born and brought up in. Not like Harry Suter, who's about as Australian as Governor.
A deep fried Mars bar.
Actually, I know. Yeah. He's nowhere near as Australian as Governor, because Governor spent many years in Australia. Harry Suter's only been down here for football matches.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember for some reason I hadn't paid that much attention to him, and when he opened his mouth, it was like Jack Charlton's Irish team, when you know they'd open their mouth and they've got broad Cockney accents, or Ray Houghton was Glaswegian, and all these Irish players didn't sound Irish at all. And then you hear the Aussie team now, and they've got a few Scottish lads in the team. And
he's playing well though. He's playing well.
Yeah. Ash puts it here. This is the
player.
Yeah. Well, getting to the rest of the knockouts, as we said, and Ash, thanks for mentioning it before I did, but yeah, we're looking at another Haaland versus Gabriel battle again in a few days' time, which I'm very, very excited for that. But you got a point though. Like, I did speak to a few Norwegians when I was over in New York, because they were over there for their game against Senegal, and while they've had a few question marks about their defense, I mean, you know, I think you can only really worry about your defense until they're actually on the pitch and what they're doing. So. They've done enough. Sure, they've conceded a couple of goals here and there, and they weren't quite up to it against France and that. But you know, as good as Brazil certainly looked better than I anticipated them to be before the start of this tournament. There is still a lot of question marks, and they can still be got at, especially at the back.
And it looked like I was watching Hovland win on Monday morning. It looked like a few Norwegians had somehow managed to fly up to Connecticut for the day and fly back to, because they played in Dallas, didn't they? But there were a few.
Yes, I believe they did. Yeah,
there were a few Norwegian lads who turned up in Connecticut to watch him beat Scheffler, and then they're back down to.
Yeah, majority of the games were on the East Coast, so I suppose maybe it worked for them. There could have even been some who are still hanging around after the group stage games as well. But
that Van Dijk goal he had a stinker. That goal, he didn't even jump for it. He didn't even jump for the header. Like, he would have got it if he jumped. I couldn't believe it. And he's looking around again as usual.
Well, Governor, you've brought up Van Dijk, so I think Rich, the floor is yours.
I'm just saying, if it's true that
as you were,
true, and I've never been one for capital punishment and stuff, but if it is true that as captain of his country, he pulled on Koeman to get out of being the second or third penalty taker, putting in one of the kids to take a penalty in his place, then he should have his citizenship removed. He should be banned from stepping foot in the Netherlands again, and the Premier League should come up with some new rule to ban him from the Premier League, because that is a absolute scumbag trip if he's done that to his team. And to do that with your whole team there, you know, when your World Cup's on the line, when it matters as much as it does to the Dutch, and you know, some of those players will never get another chance. If that is true, which it appears to be from a number of sources in the camp, he's never got the right to talk again, because they're like who is Billy Big Balls when things are going well, but absolutely bottles it when they're not. And he's an absolute. Anyone who wants to talk about him in the same conversation as John Terry or Vidic or Vinny Company, if that's his character, that's wrong. So, you know, I don't know if
I agree with you.
It's confirming everything I've always thought about him, if that's true.
I agree with you. I tell you something. If you look back at all the games that have had penalties, the centre halves have been shocking taking penalties. Germany, their most important penalty, they give it to a centre half. I can't believe that, mate.
Yeah.
Centre half took it, and I said to the missus, watch this. It's going to go right over the bar. Centre half, typical, straight over the bar.
Tell you what, Arsenal are worse than City at penalties. I mean, that Timber penalty's got to be the worst penalty I've ever seen. To go for a soft, place it in the corner and miss the goal by 2 meters. I mean, honestly, you'd back the three of us to do better with a penalty than that.
And that Clivert, young Clivert, he took the step. He stopped, but he did an no-ball look.
Yeah. I wonder if Timber was the one who had to take Van Dijk's penalty and he just was not prepared for it because it was so bad. Yeah. I mean, maybe
something's up there because very often do you see a team have back-to-back penalty miss back-to-back penalties.
Just ask yourself, what would Stuart Pearce do? Penalty comes up, you're the experienced guy, you've already missed one, you step up and you take it.
Right. That's right.
And that's what.
And you're
two most experienced. One of them takes the first one, and the other most senior one takes the clincher.
That's right.
Yeah, you've got. That's what Morocco did. Their players didn't hide.
No penalties.
Morocco's players stepped up.
No one went.
Well,
Hakimi stood up
his hand.
Yeah. That was a mad save. Like just to read that and then just go, not today.
But he just stood up, didn't he? He didn't dive enough. He just stood up and went over there.
Yeah.
Such a strong arm trick there because he hit the penalty hard.
Crazy.
We're talking about Germany. Ash put something here. What do you think about this? Klopp going and Klopp maybe in the future managing the German team?
Well, they need.
Klopp is open to join him. He might be playing.
Yeah, they need something. I mean, they've been underachieving for years because they're not. They
just haven't quite sort of got over like 2014. Like it's almost like as if they're still in a lull from that, and they just haven't quite. Which is bizarre because they've got the quality. They've got the quality of team to go really deep in World Cups, and yet they're barely making. This is the first one in the last two. Well, this was the first one in the last 3 World Cups that they've made it out of the group stage. And they still get knocked out in the first.
Yeah, on paper, they're not up there with France, but on paper they're up there with nearly anyone else apart from France in terms of the quality of some of their players, and they're just and Bayern Munich, apart from PSG, probably the best team in Europe last season, and it's just shocking.
It's going to be interesting.
I just think with Germany, you kind of look at it where it's like, I can understand why you're outside the top 10 now. But then at times you watch it and you look at them and you go, you're lucky to be in 12th or 13th place or wherever they're actually ranked right now. It's the same thing goes with Turkey in a way as well too, where it was like, you look at the quality of the team, the players they've got now, you think like you should be well inside the top 20. And then you saw just the fact that they had no answers against us. And it's like, well, actually, no, you're not really proving. You're not proving it to anybody that you should be.
It annoys me with the Germans. They're a big team, tall team, and not a lot of balls went in the box.
Yeah,
especially when Walter made it come on as well, made him even taller. Like Havertz was dangerous, but
well, I mean, Havertz on his own is still about 6'4" anyway. So what I don't understand is why they're not utilizing that that clear advantage that they have, with more aerial game too. Because like with all due respect to South Americans, majority of them are well under 6 foot. And it's like, why aren't you utilizing the aerial game anymore?
I know.
And Paraguay did the right thing.
To be fair, though, Paraguay have some bigger lads. Paraguay are a bit of a long ball team themselves. I mean, that's what they were trying to do a bit against Australia.
Like I said, I don't like Havertz, but he scores important goals, doesn't he?
There you go. Just looking at other matches too. Yeah, Stevie Black says it really well here. He said France look unstoppable at the moment. I can't lie. Like, I think the longer you progress in the competition as well too, you'll find out exactly just how good these teams are. But I'm sorry, France at the moment are just an absolute juggernaut right now.
They look good, but they're a shit. Sweden.
Yeah. So do you think it was? I didn't see the game, mate. You think Sweden didn't exactly cover themselves in glory?
They just sat back. They didn't do anything.
How did Gyökeres play?
In the second half, honest to God, I would have dragged him. If I was a manager, I would have dragged him. He was walking. They were passing it beside him, and he was walking. He wasn't jogging. He was walking. I couldn't believe it, and he didn't get dragged. Isak got dragged, and not him. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And Isak was jogging, trying to press. Gyökeres was just walking around. I couldn't believe that, mate. Isak got the drag, and he stayed on. I didn't get that at all.
I don't get Gyökeres. Full stop. I'm just hoping that Arsenal don't go and sign a proper striker, because he's a championship level striker. He had one good season in Portugal, but his level was playing for Coventry in the championship. Shocking. And Arsenal would be better selling him back to Coventry, because as a newly promoted, he's probably about that level. And signing a decent striker. Jesus is better than him. Like,
that was a gamble.
Gabriel's a better player than him by a mile.
That was a gamble.
But yeah. But it was where they wanted to spend 55 million on a striker or whatever, and you don't get world class strikers for 55 million. You're paying three times that now.
Yeah.
Christ, you can only sign Jamie Pollock nowadays for about 90 million. So,
Oh God. Yeah.
I have to say the one rumor that's really, really worried me this week is that the guy who carries Tonali through the season, Bruno, if he goes to Arsenal, that's a big blow to
I don't
everyone
understand
else.
Newcastle. They're a bit of a shit
if
show.
He came in for Zubimendi.
Why would you get rid of midfielders?
They must be in real strife that they're either Saudis are moving their money elsewhere because they've got a country to rebuild after Iran,
I did listen to some Newcastle fans, and they said about the stadium, whether they can't expand because the buildings around them are heritage, so they can't touch them. There is a block of land, but they need investment. Unbelievably, they need someone to come in and help with the investment. And outside, I don't know why, but they were mentioning that they need this investment to do
but they
the
don't
new
really
stadium.
Because their owners can do that.
Well, that's what I mean.
Their owners, you're allowed to spend what you want on your stadium. Look at ours; they pumped in 300 million was put in last year to build our end up.
This was a Geordie podcast I was listening to, and they were saying about the news. There's 50,000 waiting on the waiting list, so they're thinking about the new stadium. But then it's a shit show there at the moment.
But I bet that terrifies a lot of the Geordies too, because if you're going to be talking about that, where you want to try and maybe expand your capacity, and yet there's so much that goes around the general area of downtown Newcastle, like where St James's Park is, then I wonder if you dread the possibility of, and I'm sure that a lot of their fans are prepared for this, they may have to relocate the stadium. They may have to move on the outskirts of town or something like that. Yeah. But, maybe if it's something in a situation where like it's no different than say walking from Piccadilly to the Etihad or something. I'm sure, if they had to, they'd probably look at that as an alternative in a way. But
it was a shame when it for Oil Brothers didn't, because I wanted to know what Baz said and that, and it never happened, did it? I don't think Oil Brothers never happened. So we're going to get stuck into him.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out, Martin, if maybe him and Baz and Ed will be back for another show maybe next week or something. So just keep an eye for that. I'm sure Baz would have loved to have done the show, but he's probably just busy with work and other commitments.
Can I just say one thing? If Martin is listening, I welcome Maresca as our new manager.
Yep.
And
you, me too. Well, seeing as you brought it up, mate, we will bring it up anyway, because it was announced just over the last day or so that Enzo Maresca is now officially the manager of Manchester City. He did put pen to paper on a 3-year deal. Obviously, a lot of controversy around it, given the manner in which he left Chelsea back in December of 2025.
We and him, quite obviously, shithouse Chelsea.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You couldn't have had a much clearer statement of guilt from all parties.
And while we're at it too, can you give us Malo Gusto at a cut price as well?
Yeah.
Saying that though, I still think Maresca should have paid it, not us.
Well, apparently he is. Apparently the club and Maresca are paying some sort of compensation to Chelsea. So I believe the overall compensation from the club was somewhere going to be in the region of around about £17 million or something. I don't know what Maresca owes the club or what he's going to pay them anyway, but
I wouldn't be surprised
that's for the clubs to decide. That's not for the fans to worry about. You know,
I wouldn't be surprised if they've made him pay out the season and City have played years 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 on the contract.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting watching just seeing an interview and John Terry was talking about, and he clearly liked Maresca and he clearly thought there was, you know, interference with Maresca, so he saw a bit of sympathy for him. But as he said, had Maresca stayed the season, they might have made the Champions League.
That's right.
And him going, they didn't. So you can say there's a strong argument that the approach cost Chelsea 100 million. So
you know when he went, they were 5th. So of course they could have got in Europe. They were 5th when he went.
Yeah. So it's you know, we took it on the chin.
Yeah.
Paid it. We didn't try and pretend we're innocent. Pay the money.
Buongiorno, signor Polocchio. Come stai?
Ciao bella, everybody. Welcome.
Bella, bella.
Sì, non c'è male.
It's just saying Polocchio just makes you want to go like that, doesn't it? It's like
saying Polocchio. Mate, saying Polocchio makes me hungry.
Jaime Polocchio.
That was a really good player.
Polocchio. Sounds like a brand of like limoncello or something. Yeah, they have a nice Polocchio just to just to cleanse the palate. Yeah.
On me, madame, on me.
Yeah. Trev, what's your thoughts, mate? Maresca, obviously, pen to paper, our manager for the next 3 years at least. Obviously, Chelsea. We knew Chelsea was going to be a bit of you know, legal red tape and things like that to deal with, but you know, it seems to be we've come out the other side, you know, unscathed. I think Chelsea will move on from this anyway, and yeah, I suppose at the end of the day, I think the thing they said was we still have good relations with them for transfer business as well too. So that's what really all that matters for me in the end. So yeah,
we just give them 20 million quid. I bet that we still have good business relationships with them.
I hope so. Yeah. As I said, mate. Well, while you're at it, can you give us Gusto at a cut price? But
yeah. Probably while you're at it, we'll give you 20 million. No more voting with the red cartel.
That'd do.
Yeah.
Well, a large part. I mean, even though Todd Bowley's talked about, I mean, Chelsea's main owners are Middle Eastern hedge fund, aren't they? So a lot of
they're like another subsidiary of the PIF, a similar PIF that is involved with Newcastle as well. It's bizarre.
Even though Bowley
gets
the credit for everything with Chelsea, I think they've, you know, it's probably done a deal in the Middle East. You know, City, you did the wrong thing, pay up, and we'll play nice. And then you know, one club is permanently in trouble. One club permanently in trouble, pay another club permanently in trouble for you know.
We do seem to be the bully boys now.
Okay, Pep. Yeah, sorry guys. The guy's come. He's late. I thought he wasn't coming. I'm getting a new router. Ciao bella, everybody. I might be back. He might only take him 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
All right. See you later.
See you in a bit. Yeah.
Be about tea time there.
No, all good.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add about Maresca?
Yeah, I mean, I think
we've obviously the speculation is now true and everything. So, you know, I think we all agreed that was just like, look, this is probably, if you tick in terms of ticking all the boxes, this is the closest thing we could have to life after Pep, basically, or the easiest transition of any manager, basically, when you think about it. So, I don't know. I think I'm kind of excited now that, you know, now that knockouts are starting to progress with the World Cup, a few more players are coming back. And that's not just even players that are with us. There's players who we may be interested in or linked to as well, too. So we may see the ball start rolling a little bit. You know, it's the new financial year, the new fiscal year as well, too. So, you know, I think maybe in the next few weeks maybe the next week or two, we'll start seeing some real transfer news coming around as well,
one thing that's occurred to me, and it, you know, never heard it spoken by City fans, but I don't think Pep had made up his mind last December. He was going. So the fact City were talking to Maresca at a level that he was prepared to bin a job with one of the top Premier League teams, because Chelsea have been over the last decade, that says to me there's more to this whole Pep thing than meets the eye. And maybe City were a bit more open to it than they're talking about. Because the fact that I don't think Pep had made his mind up last December, there's no sign he ever has made his mind up that early. But City were obviously seriously thinking of him going beyond just if he said he was going. So that I think that's quite interesting. That I reckon maybe in years to come, we
as
might
they
hear
say,
more
Rich,
about
it'll all come out in the wash.
Man,
Was he prepared to stay another year?
Oh.
What I think there's more to it, and I just think that the
I mean,
know.
with Maresca though, you can't get anyone closer to the club, really, can you? Third time now, so
no.
You know.
But the fact that we're prepared to pay 17
Yes.
million shows that it wasn't just an agent having a quiet chat with him.
No.
That says to me that someone,
Yeah.
at Ferran or maybe even higher level has had a really detailed chat with him.
And he's not a
that
stopgap,
was done,
is he?
And that was done when Pep, at the time, as far as we're all aware, was definitely staying. So does that mean that there are elements at City who were thinking about life with Pep, whatever Pep thought, or does it mean that they really thought going into this season he was going, or that they made an agreement years ago when he signed a 2-year contract, he was only doing it for a year? Because there's something that doesn't quite add up.
Yeah.
What's
Chelsea,
been said
I
in
mean,
public.
Might check
doesn't
the
add
chat,
up to
Rich,
that.
because you got Tweedledee and Tweedledum disagreeing with you at the moment.
Well,
He's here.
Chelsea did.
He's here. Sorry, guys. Just got to cue the music for a sec. Hang on.
Well, where's the music? Chelsea did give him off. Chelsea did let him talk to Maresca, didn't they?
Well, did they? I don't think they did. I don't think.
I think they did.
Well, we wouldn't have paid 20 million if they did, because we'd have done nothing wrong.
I don't know. I just think I don't know. Just whatever happens, it's just one of those things. I reckon, like, because we've had similar situations like this before, maybe in a different context than that, but like maybe in like 3, 4, 5 years time from now, like they'll probably be.
Yeah.
They'll have like an interview with Maresca and Pep, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, do you remember when Pep left? Like, what was the full story behind it?" Like, it's not something that's going to be something that's speculated. Because the last thing you want with Maresca trying to assert himself in the club is that stuff to be made public. So once he's settled in, once he's obviously hopefully bringing the same as much success as Pep does, then we'll hear about it. There'll be a tell all about it in the future.
Yeah.
The official narrative isn't true. The facts don't add up. There's something else. I've got no idea what. But
it's weird how we went about it, though. How we've gone away, done that, done it that way.
Look,
it's weird.
Yeah. Look, we've all been on this earth long enough that we can see beyond just a simple newspaper headline, basically. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what happens, and I'm sure there is a little bit more to it. But
I mean, I'm going to
it remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. Yeah,
it's going to be. I shouldn't really go there, but with Maresca, I've looked back at some of his interviews when he was at Chelsea. And one interview said, what did he say? He said about the keeper, I think it was Sanchez or the other keeper they had at the time. And he says, if the keeper kicks long, I'm going to bench him.
Yeah.
And that's what he said.
Well, he stuck up for Sanchez after the game a couple of times when he gave away stupid goals and said, I told him to do that.
Yeah, I thought if he goes long, if he's saying, when he says that I'm going to bench someone if he goes long, then what's Donnarumma going to do?
Go short.
You have to play the short ball.
Rich is in there now. Rich,
he'll just go very short.
Rich, you are talking the biggest load of claptrap anyone has ever spoken on the Mancini way.
Not all of us believe
here.
Propaganda, mate.
Welcome to Blues Down Under, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes. What's the skullduggery, mine?
Listen, I've only had to come on because I've been sat here screaming at my phone, talk about a Rich rants.
No, he's going to come on about He's going to come on about how we need more dogs of war in midfield. How the Jaime Polak
Big up Neil Warnock
from Newcastle's the way forward.
We still do.
Our Bruno G's never leaving Newcastle for you know £200 million.
Yeah, and I'm fine. And I'm fine with us lining up BOUADDI as soon as we sign him.
I'm going. You lot just wankers now. You're just winding me up now, aren't you?
Oh,
I think I like the idea of BOUADDI as a right back going into midfield.
Well, I've always said this. I said I don't have a problem with what Martin put it in the chat as like an £80 million loan, because I think there's a lot of Premier League clubs that do £80 million loans. The difference is they don't pay fuck all interest on them.
You've hit something there, Rich. You know, with the right back. You know, with the right back.
Are you listening, Arsenal?
Nunez there, right? But if Maresca plays a wing back or inverts him, Nunez doesn't do that. So
is Maresca the manager, Governor, or a champ Peps? Are you sure Maresca's the manager, or is he a chance?
Yeah, no, he's in. He's in. I'm 100% now.
Oh, you're 100%.
Yep.
Do you know what? One of these days,
a little bit more than 98,
are going to believe me.
I'm behind him now, 100%.
He's on the Maresca train.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm going to leave you on this. Donna's number one. Donna's number one. Na 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 na.
You just
Donna's
singing that
number one. Number one.
You saying Donna's number one? Are you at the front of your favourite kebab shop again?
He better learn how to
come on. He's just come on to wind up Alan.
Yeah.
No, I haven't come up to wind up you, because the last two shows you talked more claptrap than Alan ever talked. You become absolute waffle the last few days, and then you put it in the group chat. You winding me up.
No, you're getting wound up because for some reason you want dogs of war in midfield. You want to bring back the Pollock.
I do.
The Pollock. It's not a fish shop.
Well, we're trying to sign
the Pillock.
Italian.
The Pillock.
We're trying to sign the
No,
Italian
I told you we're not bringing Alan back.
The Italian Pollock.
Do I have to cue the music again?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going.
Alan, I told you I'd find Royal Britannia for you.
Big up. I needed that laugh then. Big up. See you at half one.
See you later.
Too easy, mate.
Half one. Lunch in the city.
Oh, yeah.
We may be talking a little Italian. Fancy Italian, Rich? Don't mind a bit of Italian, mate.
Talk a bit of Jamie Pollock.
I had some spag balls.
Oh, he's off.
I might have to stay up and go on the show. I don't want them talking a load of Pollocks about,
Did you say load of Pollock? You got Pollock on the mind, mate.
Load of Pollocks.
Yeah.
Well,
load of Pollocks.
They're going to talk about
Pollock for Phillips, yeah.
Us signing a player who's a load of Pollocks.
Proper load. Yeah. Someone just put in the chat before, just transfers. I haven't had a good look yet, but this BOUADDI, what do you make of him? Because I know we joke about saying like an 80 million and then we'd loan him out to Lille for a season, but from what I saw from what LB put on his show a day or two ago, it's like this guy's only 18. He's played a ton of games already for Lille. He's basically their number 6, and he also converted play as a right back, an inverted right back as well too. Like he certainly ticks a lot of boxes in terms of the versatile sort of player.
Right, Pat, you've just said it there, right? What you've just said, and people what to do is buy him and then put him back on loan. But he's doing it now at that age. He's doing it now. Yeah. Why are we putting him on loan?
Well, I said, we're joking about it. Don't get me wrong. I suppose, I mean, it's funny because I questioned it a few days ago, saying like, well, yeah, are we doing that because we don't know what's happened with Rodri? But now all the reports are going through that Rodri's going in for some sort of surgery at the end of the World Cup. So
yes,
I don't know what to believe. I don't know what direction you'd want to go in.
We've got to buy as if Rodri's not there anymore. Even if I think he's going to run his contract out anyway. So we need him there, even to play a season with him. We've got to buy as if Rodri's not there.
Yeah. Given he's not going to be fit in the transfer window, I think now he's not going to be back until September. He's quite clearly made it clear that Spain is his priority, not City. Because City can do without him for 2 months, and he's going to play injured for Spain, and then he's going to have his operation, see out a season, and get a 30 million signing on fee to go to Madrid or someone. I think I think we've just got to make peace with that now.
If he stays and he runs his we're not going to see him till October after this surgery. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he might. Hopefully, we don't bring him back early again. So, you know. But we've got our main
Only
target.
by British. Look, Alan, only by British. We don't want any more of that.
He just wants me to play Rule Britannia again. I think he got emotional.
We don't want
the
any
first time.
more of that Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Bernardo, Rodri, Haaland, foreign nonsense. We want.
I don't care if Semenyo reaches is the English quota. He's not British.
We want Liam Delap up front with
no more Pollocks out there.
I was going to say Chris Wood, but he's not British either. We just want good old.
No, he'll accept Commonwealth. He'll accept Commonwealth. Well, he has to because he bloody doesn't even live in the UK anymore.
Considering all you get from Alan during the World Cup is England is shit. England is shit. England is shit. He wants us to buy British. So if he doesn't want English players because they're all shit,
well,
like what does he think a team made out of Welsh and Scottish
well,
players?
Sorry, Rich, we've got to talk about England regardless of Alan's misery because I can't lie, mate. Whatever happens in this Congo game, they are in for one hell of a time in the Azteca even if they make it to the next round. Because
I think
Jesus, Mexico looks so good there today.
Yeah, England have played themselves into the hardest last 16 game there is. There is no doubt to me that playing at altitude in an away game against a team who've played 9 games there in World Cups, conceded 2 goals. That is harder than playing France. So it's I just hope that the
their 2 best World Cup finishes were quarterfinals, and they were both in Mexico in 70 and 86.
I just hope the English media and pundits, etc., give Mexico the status they deserve. They deserve
the flowers. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
England should be $3 or $4, 3 or 4 to 1 in that game. And if England win in Mexico, I would go as far as to say that would be the biggest World Cup achievement in my lifetime. Since
they're also the first team since Italian 1990 to go the first 4 games of a World Cup without conceding a goal.
Yeah, that's the hardest. That's the hardest game England will have had at a World Cup since 1966. And
I've seen
if they can beat Congo and they beat Mexico,
And did you hear the crowd? Did you hear the crowd for the start of the game as well? Did you hear the sound of that crowd? That wasn't the 12th man. That was the 13th man. That was incredible.
Yeah,
no, the noise, and then even when Ecuador was in possession, like the boos were just it was incredible.
And and you've got to remember that Ecuador are the only team in the world who play at a higher stadium in Quito than Mexico do. So Ecuador are specialists at playing at altitude.
Yeah,
they are probably the best team.
Well, in terms of just the nations, I think the highest is still Bolivia because all the South American teams complain about how bad it like Bolivia. Like I think La Paz goes up to about 3,600 meters.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of all, but you're talking about qualifying teams. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I know with the England team, the training session. Notice there is no Concert and there is no Reece James. They're both injured, so there's no right back at the moment. So I don't know what they're going to do there. They wasn't in the training sessions, so they were training. Well, they were doing a program somewhere else, so they're probably not fit.
No, Pat, Quito is the highest capital in the world, 9,400 feet. So that's higher than La Paz.
I was convinced it was La Paz.
Let me have a look.
So I'm sure La Paz was higher. Sure, La Paz was higher.
We should have trained in Oldham. Oldham's the highest ground in the
unless
country.
what I read is maybe they play at another ground or like another city. It might be even higher. I'm not sure. Because they also talk about like South Africa, for example, like when they play the rugby, like you've obviously got Joburg, you've got Cape Town, but then they play it. I think it's called Loftus. There's a ground there they're called Loftus, and that's like about 5,000 feet above sea level. And so it's a huge. So that's why whenever they play there, you see the Kiwis and the Australians really, really struggle when they play there.
Yeah, you've got a point, Alan. Same as the ECB in ruins.
It says that La Paz isn't fully the capital. It's an administrative capital. It is higher than Quito. Yeah. It's not a complete capital. It's only an administrative capital, whatever that means. So maybe Bolivia's got 2. But yeah, so but Mexico City, I think it's going to be hard. I remember watching the first time the NFL went down there. The Patriots went down and played one of their games in Mexico City, and they decided in their wisdom not to acclimatize. They went in basically the night before, played the game, and Tom Brady was lobbing the ball about a meter over the head of the wide receivers. It was, and the punters were kicking it like a too high. It was nuts, and you realised, it's not just the fact that your fitness is going to be called into question, because you're going to have to use your substitutes better, because you are going to be blowing brutally, but the ball's going to go further, the ball's going to go higher, your passes have just got to be slightly different. So and the Mexicans are used to it, because they've they've grown up playing that.
You're going to watch this extra time as well.
They've been training. So I think it's the hardest game England have had in my lifetime, and if they beat Mexico, if they get past DRC first, I think that'll be England's biggest, certainly in a World Cup, England's best result in our lifetime.
If England were to beat Mexico at the Azteca, I think that's a huge statement to all the other major teams that are competing against them big time. I think France are going to really pay attention to that. Spain will pay attention to that.
From what I've seen so far, France look levels above anyone else. And when you look at who doesn't get on when you look at the fact that all those Moroccan players who look, not far off the second best team at the World Cup, all of those Moroccan players, bar two, could have played for France, and a lot of them have come up. I'm surprised BOUADDI. He played 12 games for the French under-21s.
Yeah, he did.
So he was on the cusp of playing for France when he. I'm surprised the French didn't.
And let's be honest, I'd rather have him in that. I'd rather have him in that squad than that Rabiot. I still can't believe he still gets in the French squad.
No, considering how bloody fantastic they are, and for me, that attacking talent, I think, I've been impressed by Elise looks, and Mbappe look the best players in the world at the minute. But then you've watched bits of Dembele and Barcola, and you're looking at that, and you're like, they could field it, and someone like Turkey, who'd walk into nearly every other side, he's not barely getting a look in.
I mean, Didier Deschamps must be in absolute heaven right now to have that squad, and then you can have Turkey just to change things up a little bit for the last 10-15 minutes. Players like him coming off the bench. That guy is absolutely spoiled rotten. The quality of players that he has.
They've got to leave Barcola on the bench, and England have got to play Anthony Gordon and Madueke. I mean, they don't have to, but they do. And you just look at the quality of those French players compared to Madueke and Gordon.
They're stacked. And absolutely stacked.
Yeah.
No, but for me, from the get-go, I thought, like, as good as we know Mbappe is when he puts a French shirt on, I think the key really to France's success was how good Elise was going to be, and he looks like he has not missed a step since wrapping the season up at Bayern.
There's four players. Those four players have all looked exceptional.
Well, can I add something too? And there was something that I actually mentioned in one of our World Cup sweep group chats, was about how I feel about Mbappe. It's when he was playing at PSG, not necessarily when he was at Monaco, because Monaco he was, young and, coming up and things like that. But PSG, Madrid, ever since he got into the big clubs and everything, to me, it always seemed like he got in the spotlight too much. He let it get to his head. You hear reports about him having a bit of an ego, being a bit of a diva, a little bit of a clubhouse cancer and that. And then proof is there, because every time he's left the club, they've actually gone on to bigger and better things. But when he puts that French shirt on, he's like the second coming of Pele. He is just incredible when he plays in that French squad, and it's a shame. It's a shame, because if that sort of player did what he does it for France, he was able to do that for Real Madrid, and that he would be an absolute pleasure, an absolute joy to watch play.
Yeah. But let's not also forget our own world superstar. 60 goals in 53 games. 60 goals in 53 games. That is double the strike rate of Messi or Ronaldo. It's a much better strike rate than Mbappe. And, I think it was the first time a player has scored in their first 3 World Cup games for about 70 or 80 years or something. I mean, let's not forget, just how impressive that is. And, you know, because it's for Norway, it doesn't get noticed, but you know, that is truly ridiculous to be more than a goal a game past 50 international caps. And because he hasn't been playing against rubbish teams, he's been playing European qualifying, European.
They had to beat Italy twice to get it there. Well, I know we joke about Italy, but you still have to beat them to, you know, to get in.
No, he's been playing.
They're no slouches.
So you know, I think that's incredibly impressive, and I think probably playing against Brazil is a chance to actually. I think that's the first game that people will really be paying attention to for Norway, because everyone was waiting for Norway, France, and then the Norwegian coach shithoused them and said, "No, I'm keeping our powder dry for playing you in the final," and I'm rotating 10 players, which, you know, is you know, I can see why I did it. I don't think it made the draw any harder for them, and you know, he's got players fitter and fresher, saved anyone getting suspended, and a number of benefits it had. But you know, now we're kind of waiting to see. I was really looking forward to that game, and then suddenly it's like, nah, we're passing on this game. And then I think the best interview.
That's our fault for not assuming as much. Yeah.
Did you see Erling's interview? But about it, it was just you know, it was just priceless. He was basically interviewed about it. He's just like, you know, asked about, you know, not playing or something. He goes, bothered, you know, fine with that. He goes, France will probably win it. He just totally gave these absolutely brilliant answers, and the interview didn't know what to do.
They were just that cold, dry, sort of typical Nordic response, basically.
I think they shit-housed it a bit. I think they knew what they were going to do. If they won
first couple of games, though, that Odegaard fed him well. He feed hooked into Haaland over time.
I mean,
Odegaard.
I think
there's a decent player there in Odegaard. I just think we laugh and joke about it too, because I think the way Arteta utilizes him in that Arsenal squad, it's true. He does a whole lot of nothing, but when he's actually given a certain task where he knows what his job is, basically, he's a very, very good player. And you look at that Norwegian squad; they are very, very solid across the entire base.
Yeah,
like,
I think
from back to front. From back to front,
they get
very
called
solid
Haaland FC, but you know, I think they've got, you know, Sorlov is a great player.
Noosa guy has been really good for him as well the last 12 months as well too.
You know,
that's a great little front. That's a great front three, and or if you want to say two really good players that really complement, you know, playing alongside Erling Haaland, you know, Odegaard, Sander Berger's been hovering around the Premier League for years now already. I remember when he first came up, I think it was Sheffield United about 5 years ago. Yeah. He's always been around the traps and always been playing some decent football, you know.
Yeah, no, they've got, you know, probably
Strand Larsen's not that good guy, I don't think.
15 of their players are playing first team football for teams in the big leagues. They've got a couple of and you know, they've got 2 or 3 for Bodo Glimt, but let's not forget they beat City, and was it Inter? Inter they beat as well.
Yeah, they beat someone over there as well, didn't they?
Yeah. Who was it? Yeah. So they beat some of Europe. So you've got to respect them, and I think they focused totally on Erling's strengths in a way that even Dortmund didn't, because I think City have so much more than just Haaland. So we don't always play to his strengths. He has to do what he does in a team that's playing as a team, not just for him. But Norway play to his strengths, but I think 60 goals in 53 for a top European side, that's never going to be matched. You know, he's got every chance of and
it's not his fault if Norway don't qualify either. Like, you know, it comes down to the team as well. But
that's it. Yeah.
You know, I mean, even if he doesn't necessarily finish, you know, close to Messi goal numbers or Mbappe, because let's be honest, Mbappe's only like 2 goals behind Messi now, and Messi's 12 years older than him. Like, it's scary to think of how much his goal tally could be by the time he hands him his boots. But then also too, I'm sure that the ones that really like know the analytics and know the stats, they'll look at Haaland and go, okay, maybe he didn't play as many games either because A, Norway didn't qualify as much, or B, they got knocked out earlier than what France ever did. But they'll look at his goals to minute ratio in World Cups and things like that. And they'll certainly take it into consideration.
Norway have, you know, in the last few years, invested a fortune in sport as well. Like, it's not just their football team's improved a lot, but if you actually look at track and field athletics. They've had 2 of the best athletes in the world in the last sort of 5-10 years. You know, the couple of their golfers doing really well. You know,
Okay.
you know, 2 of them. So they've actually invested a lot of money in sport, and they are really starting. You know, they've always been incredible at, you know, some of the winter sports, but they're really now starting to come through in all the levels. I think the few of their hockey players are coming through stronger than a while. I'm just waiting for a Major League Baseball pitcher from Norway to, you know, kick off. Although I'm sure Skubal, that sounds Norwegian, doesn't it?
Little bit. Yeah.
I don't know.
Baz has joined us. Good evening, Baz. Hope you're well, mate. It's all good, mate.
What's going on with your club, Baz?
Yeah, I know. We need to get him on, won't we? Yeah, but yeah. Look, you talk about Norway as well too. That's right. His name's Ayer. That Christoph Ayer. He's the centre back for Brentford.
Yeah.
And
I'd be
we
really
all lyrical about how
interested.
good Brentford were last season as well. So
I'd be really interested in Baz's views as well about, you know, Bruno G and the Geordie Jamie Pollock
enough said.
in midfield, because you know, every time I've watched Newcastle, I've been incredibly impressed with Bruno G and not that impressed with the Italian Jamie Pollock. But I'd be interested what
I mean, I said the same, Rich, about.
I thought Bruno was, I thought Bruno was there for life. I really don't want him going to Arsenal. I just I'd hate that.
Well, I put in the comments about why don't we get Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White for 200 mil, but also tongue in cheek, why would you get rid of your 2 best players in the middle? Plus, it's the same for Newcastle, isn't it? Tonali and Bruno G. Why would you get rid of 2 players like that in the middle? Like,
well,
what are they thinking of?
Surely,
do you know what I mean?
Well, if I was them, I'd happily sell the Italian Jamie Pollock, get the money and spend it. You know, wisely.
As I was saying, he reckons Bruno will stay. Tonali, sorry, Policchio is gone. Either us or Spurs.
Yeah.
Question is, mate, where do you think he'll go? Where do you want him to go?
I think it's all noise with Bruno, but Tonali is probably.
I hope so.
To be honest, I didn't think Tonali would be in England. I'd stay in England. I thought he would have gone back.
I hope he's right, because the only other team in the Premier League I'd ever want Bruno G to play with would be us, because I think he's a bloody good player. I'd hate him. He'd improve Liverpool, he'd improve Arsenal, he'd improve United, he'd improve Chelsea. So therefore, I'd like him to stay at Newcastle, because he doesn't improve Newcastle because he's already there.
Yeah.
But
Steve Black says transfers in UEFA finals are turbulent. It's turbulent for the Geordies. Yeah.
But you see, they're not in European football next year, so they don't have to. Like Villa and people have got to sell, because they've got to sell to meet UEFA's rules, which are stricter.
Can they go a summer without not having to deal with that?
Yeah,
it feels like every summer you feel like there's always something there saying like Villa don't meet PSR again. Villa don't meet PSR. It's like I kind of feel bad for them. It just seems like just when they finally had a successful season, they finally got some silverware the first time in about 30 years. All of a sudden they're selling again, or like, you know, they've got to move all these assets to try and get another player in. It's nuts how it works. It's just
so unfair.
It's just a financial minefield now. That's all it is.
And you know, I think it's so unfair that Villa get to the position they've got to, and then they're going to have to sell. They need a striker. They're going to have to sell Morgan Rogers, and you know, I just think that's unfair. You know, I think it's. I agree. I'm glad Baz said that, because I got so much stick off Tone. I got so much stick off Tone and Martin saying I think Bruno is world class, because I think Bruno's world class, and I think Baz, who watches him play, he's world class, and I think I agree. And don't you start? He's not Tone.
He says highest wages to revenue. Okay. No, I get that then. So for them to be able to probably get the players in that they've had now, you know, and to keep as well too, they probably have to throw some pretty high wages in there. You know, like, I haven't looked into Villa's wage bill, but it must be that then. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that anyway.
But I think, but it shouldn't be. They shouldn't be being held back when they've got a great manager. They haven't gone and spent 100 million on 5 different players. I don't think Villa have done anything wrong. That same with Newcastle, to be fair, and a few other teams. I think that they are just
they've been very smart with the Grealish money.
We're sitting back and we're letting Liverpool, United, and Arsenal continue to try and fix the game. And they were a bit late with Chelsea and City, but Villa, Newcastle, they should have the chance to do exactly what City did, exactly what Chelsea did. And if they're able to go out,
sorry, Rich. I think with Villa, I don't want him to go Trafford, but with Villa, if Martinez goes, it's going to be a natural move for Trafford to go there.
Yeah, no.
That Martinez was on.
Well, I think it's the most natural player to go to Villa is actually Marmoush. They've got an Egyptian owner. They need a striker. I think Marmoush is one of the best strikers who will be available this summer. So I wonder if Maresca, Rodgers was in Maresca's EDS team, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think if Martinez goes, I think Trafford will go there. I want to keep him, but
Yeah, but I think it's up to
Maresca.
Yeah, no, up to Trafford. I think if he wants to go and play first team football, and Maresca's made up his mind, Donna's number 1, I think we shouldn't stand in Trafford's way. But I think he's a very sellable player. I think I'd like to keep Marmoush, but I understand why he's too good to be a backup to Haaland.
But who else is out there? If Trafford does go, we need another one. I mean, knowing our luck, Donnarumma will
see, this is where it gets difficult. Yeah, and Gov, this is where it gets difficult with the Trafford thing, because I personally, in my opinion, I think, and you're not gonna bench Donnarumma, but Donnarumma is the better keeper than Trafford, but I think Trafford suits Maresca ball better than what Donnarumma does.
Yeah,
it is a bit of a dilemma. It has become a bit of a dilemma in how it's going to be working.
Well, if they get injured,
it wasn't just. I was convinced beforehand anyway that I thought with Maresca that Trafford would be suitable anyway, but that last second half of the season, the way Trafford played, particularly in the cup matches, and then when he had to contribute during the league, and that he was incredible. He was very, very, very good. And he sort of proved to me in a way where it's like, I feel terrible, probably having to let you go. But now we don't know. Like, I think that's probably going to be the biggest saga between now and when the first ball's kicked in the Premier League is what does Maresca want to do with regards to his goalkeepers?
Yeah, I know.
There's some big question marks there. And
Catch 22,
I think there's going to be some big decisions that are going to be made as well. So, be interesting to see. I don't know. Like it's a tough one.
Yeah,
well,
Farid says Stefan. Yeah, well, if Stefan was still there, it'd be an easier decision, wouldn't it? So,
well, he's going to be talking. He's going to be talking to people like Donnarumma and Foden first, anyway, because they'll be back first, won't they? Before the rest. So,
yeah, true.
He'll be having conversations with them anyway.
And Kuzanov.
Yeah,
did you see the way? Did you see
Thierry
the way?
Thierry was nothing to do with the cups, mate. It was just the fact that it was just his distribution was better, and he was actually probably a little bit better between the sticks when he was playing. So, and I think he also just suits Maresca a bit more because he is willing to play a little bit more advanced and play actually a bit more outside of just his 18-yard box as well.
On Donnarumma, I actually think he was better than I expected him to be with his feet. The bit that I was most worried, and still am most worried about Donnarumma, is in the air for crosses.
Yes,
I thought
it's a weird one. Yeah, for a guy so tall, like 6'5", to be so sort of unconvincing, basically on set pieces. Yeah,
I was just thinking that Everton game, if we'd have had Diaz playing and Trafford in goal, we'd have won that game. I mean, I think we saw the weakness of a Gay cousin of centre backs aerially, especially when you've got Donnarumma in goal. And if I watched that game, and I was another Premier League manager, I'd be just thinking like, Martin will love this, dogs of war, smash it up, fashion you in the middle, and we'll beat City. Because
it's not a rabid. It's not a rabid dog, is it?
Yeah, it's weird how he's dodgy on crosses, isn't it? Really, the size of him, plus his hands.
Yeah,
it's weird.
But I don't think we've seen a goalkeeper who can make better saves. Joe Hart could make them one side, but not the other. But his shot stopping is, and when he goes out, and things, he is, the best we've probably, certainly probably the best I've seen, apart from Nicky Weaver that one season when he was like bloody Gordon Banks.
His hair is better.
Heads up. Got a new member. Baz has decided to become a member of the channel, mate. Thank you so much for your contribution. Not just for us, obviously, but everything you do over there at Black and White Eyes as well too. Be sure to go and give him a like and a follow as well too. I'm sure him and Martin will be talking about. We'll probably have another episode of Oil Brothers coming up soon. So please,
hopefully he'll be telling,
because we really want to find out exactly what the hell is going on over at Newcastle.
Yeah,
because it is quite intriguing, actually. Yeah.
I think
appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
What else is new? I tried to text my notes earlier.
But I mean, it's interesting that we're clearly probably looking at another 3 or 4 players coming through the door.
We should be talking about who's going to go out though first, Rich, because I think we really need to clear out the numbers before anybody else comes in.
Yeah, I think we will a bit, but I think the clear message seems to be that Maresca wants a much bigger squad than Pep did, and that will partly be because Maresca's not as familiar with them, so he'll probably want to have more options. But and you saw it at Chelsea. Like obviously he had to fire a few because he had like 32 first team players and he could only name 25. But he at Chelsea they were bang on the dot of 25 plus some young players, and he liked a big squad. So I don't think we're going to see players going out the door like we would if Pep was staying, and that really kind of core 20 or something. I think we'll probably go with 25 in the squad, but obviously if we're going to sign 3 or 4 more and they're not kids and they're not players who can not count in the 25, we're going to have to
it's just going to be interesting in it what the system he plays, and like some players like Reinders and Nico G, like I said, we don't know what's happening with him, but some of these players might be more in his plans than he was for Pep, so you just don't know, do we? Just don't know. I think Reinders is going to be important to with myself. I don't know about Nico G, that's up to him, but I think Reinders might be part of his plans myself. I think there's still a player in there, and I said it's like with Savio, this is the season. If they don't perform this season, then see you later. And obviously, all this madness is probably going to happen after the World Cup anyway. So,
yeah, I think as you mentioned, Gov, like Nico G and Reinders, they're 2 names that I feel like myself, maybe you guys feel the same too, but a lot of our community would probably say they are on the way out, but we just don't know what Maresca sees in them, or if he sees something a little bit differently to what Pep does.
Yeah.
And in a way, I've said like we need to clear the squad. We're always at our best when we're only like a 22, 23 man squad, but maybe Maresca might be willing to do a little bit of spoil of riches, for next season. Maybe another season of maybe we have to leave a couple of players at home.
If you've got 20, if you've got 25, you basically got 2 players for every position. Well, an extra goalkeeper, an extra defender, and an extra, midfielder. So it does potentially open us up to have 6 midfielders kept.
So do you think we need
6 forwards?
Do you think we need a right back and another winger?
It depends partly if I think if you have 6 forward players, you've got Marmoush stays, because I have a feeling Marmoush will stay because no one's going to be prepared to pay the money it'll take to get him. So you've got Haaland and Marmoush. You've got, depends whether you count Foden as a 10 with Cherky. But
Yes.
arguably, if Savio goes, we've only got 2 wingers. So
That's what
even
I'm
if you
saying.
give one of those to a
Backup.
kid, you're going to need to sign a one. You're going to need to sign a winger if Savio goes. But you could arguably sign 2.
I reckon one.
Would-
I would break through. I would get Mikado to break through.
I was about to say that. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was about to say that. Yeah,
But it's
Well, I think
because
documented.
they are the club is touting McCady pretty highly, not just because Caldoon said at the end of season,
That's right.
but they do rate him very, very highly.
Yeah.
So again, I think that'll come down to what is City's transfer activity going to be? From now basically probably until August, because as much as we talk about who we're going to sign for the first team, who's going to leave the first team, there is going to be a lot of activity with that with the EDS and the under 18s as well too, because they did perform well in their respective league seasons. And what happens when they do? A lot of them start getting shipped out. That's where that's the reason why we always stay under the PSR, why we never really come close to any FFP regulations or anything like that, because the academy helps cover a lot of our transfer costs.
I'll be interested in very much in that kind of centre back. Does Hayes come back? Is he coming back? And because if he doesn't, I'd like to see Mafuni get a go as the 5th centre back, because I've heard so many people in the club, talking about him. It's probably the biggest thing.
Vita Hayes will stay. Whether he stays or gets loaned out again, I'm not
sure. No. What I mean is he going to stay and be part of the 25?
Yeah.
No, I reckon he'll play the pre-season games, and then I think he'll go back out on loan.
Yeah, because I wonder if he's the sort of player who could be, converted into a Maresca inverted fullback. Defensively really solid as a 3rd centre back, but could go up into midfield. I mean, I just haven't seen enough of it.
Yeah,
he's
we were told when
he
was signed that Pep was even attending in the long term to move him into an eventual number 6.
Yeah,
even quite literally a John Stones region.
I think that Victor Hayes is like a younger John Stones, me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Any game I really watched them last season was when they played Barca.
And he was bloody incredible. The game at home, yeah.
But that was one of his best games. So I can't say I watched him every week.
No, I didn't.
But Funi's meant to be our best player at the academy in 10, 15 years.
Yes.
A lot of people are saying. So is he going to get? I'd be happy for him as the 5th centre back.
Yeah. Which is funny you say that, because it was like when we brought back Max Lane, the Watford fans were like, "Oh, hang on, we need him." And then obviously we said, "Oh, well, we'll keep him around." And said, "Oh, but here's Mafuni." And now he's got an injury. Now they reckon Mafuni's even better than Lane. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Mafuni's been like for quite a few years. Has been like he's the one coming out of the academy who's going to be playing. Like the Watford fans, I think he got injured though, didn't he? But the Watford fans were saying he'll be playing for England by the time he's 21.
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal young player. And judging by the quality of England centre backs at the minute, if you come through in the next couple of years as a top 20-year-old centre back, you've probably got a place in the England team for 150 caps.
Am I talking out of my ass, Pat? Pat, am I talking out of my ass if I mention?
It's no different from any other show, mate.
If I mention, is it Irakundi? How quick?
Is. Thank you, mate. Yeah.
Hey, him and
Doku. Irakundi plays. Yeah, he plays at Watford. Yeah.
He plays at Watford. Yeah.
Apparently,
apparently he's got a problem with his attitude, hasn't he? I think. I've heard.
I don't know. I mean, I'd be very surprised if there was any attitude problems with him, because I mean, he made a really, really brave decision because you remember when he was about 17 or 18, he got signed by Bayern Munich. Then he realized there was no way into the team. He's only keep in mind he's only 2021 now, so he's got plenty of time ahead of him. But for him because the story behind him was, if anybody's read about it, he obviously grew up in a refugee camp in Tanzania. He fled the civil war in Burundi. Before his family emigrated out to Australia when he was like 3 years old, and they've been out here ever since. And they all owe their entire lives to Australia. And the story was that when he arrived in Australia, his dad was wearing a Bayern Munich jersey. Can't remember what year it was, but it was always said it was his dream to play for Bayern Munich one day. And then he did really well Adelaide United in the A League.
Adelaide.
Obviously, Bayern got the attention of him, but then just like a lot of academy players do at City and that, just can't find a way into the first team. But then he made the brave decision of walking away, choosing to move on somewhere else. He's gone to Watford and actually done relatively well there. So I don't really know if there's any. Sorry,
the people around him have got to be good, but he's so quick. But whether he's got the quality and we can nurture that, I don't know. But I when I seen him, I thought, geez, he's like another Doku, and he's built solid as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. I don't know. He's got a little bit of the Doku around him. Probably not as quick off the mark, but just as quick once he gets up the pace. Yeah. So that's what I'm never going to be overly ambitious and think that there's anybody really right now in the Socceroos that's good enough to make it to Manchester City. But some of these players, they're still nowhere near their peak yet. They're still nowhere near their prime. And I've said this before. I said this about Ecuador today against Mexico. They're a good team, but they're still very, very young. Their average age is about 22 or 23. Maybe in 4 years' time, we'll see just how bloody good they are, with once Caicedo and Hincapié.
You're looking at a player like Caicedo who, gets in most teams in world football. I think he's an exceptional player. But, a question for you, be interested. I was kind of thinking about it in relation to watching City a couple of years ago and watching PSG this season. Is how much lower now the standard is in international football generally than the top clubs. I think France possibly the exception in that I think that French team, a lot of them have played together quite a lot, and B, they really are the cream of a few top European sides.
Oh, a team's catching up.
I just think club football is now, the standards are just so much higher than international football because they're so coached to play together. I'd be really fascinated to put, I know that probably have half the same team, but you put PSG up against the World Cup winners. Now it might be a problem because there might be half the same players, but I reckon PSG, would beat most international sides by 4, 5, 6 goals. I just think the standard of the top clubs, and it's not a fair comparison because they train together 10 times more than
it's the way you look at it. It's like Rich. It's like, remember when Queensland won 8 state of origins in a row? I looked at that Queensland team; they were so stacked back then. It was like you can put that team out. And never mind putting green and gold shirts on them. You can put them out there in a final against New Zealand, the Rugby League World Cup, and they'd win it.
And I think
Yankees teams at the end of the late 90s, early 2000s, they had World Baseball Classic back then. You could put all the Yankees out there and they'd beat every nation.
Yeah, unless they were 3-0 up against the Red Sox.
Like I said, late 90s.
Okay.
They'd already done dirty on everybody's, mate. So
Someone was asking about Erkundi. Who is he? He plays on the left wing, doesn't he? But Australia he has played through the middle, though, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, which doesn't suit him. I think Mo Toure does a better job there. He's
better on the left wing,
Mind you have to admit, Pat, that A-Rod's tapping the ball out of his glove doesn't look any better 20 years later than it did at the time.
Yeah, no, but so does Kurt Schilling's bloody sock as well. But everybody still goes mad about that, don't they? Yeah. That was the worst one. Anyway, if Boston's known as anything now, it's just a really good place for Scots to hang out in.
Yeah, but no, I think Baz is fair. You can't really compare them because their clubs are just so much. They're taking the cream of multiple countries' teams, and they are playing together every week. But I maybe it's just nostalgia. But as a kid, I just remember I never saw anything in club football that compared to watching, the Argentinians in 86 or the French in 84, the Brazilians in 82. That really seemed to me the best football I'd ever
Benito
seen.
in the 90s and 2000s.
And maybe that's because, the best side in club football at the time was Liverpool, and it was still, mainly English, Scottish, and a Welsh or two player. It wasn't a truly global game, so they weren't. But I don't know. I just thought club football was so far behind the best teams in the World Cup, when I was a kid. Whereas now I look at it and I think other clubs have just gone way past the international teams.
Yeah, it's no more bridging the gap now. I think they've run right ahead of them now, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about PSG actually too, because I wanted to bring this up as well. And I know there's a few people in the chat here who want us to talk about City, but unfortunately, sometimes City can be a little bit of a slow news week. We've just covered Maresca, and transfers are just rumors at the moment. Anderson's done, so we're just waiting to see what happens next. But I wanted to quickly talk a little bit about certain facets of the World Cup, and the big one for me is I thought going into this World Cup that I thought Portugal, for years and years and years, the World Cups have always been considered a bit of a dark horse, and not quite to the level of the best that Europe has to offer, but certainly can knock on the door and be a problem for a lot of established or teams that have a bit more success than what they do. But obviously the big talk was obviously Cristiano Ronaldo playing up front and being relatively poor against the Congo and getting a draw, and then bagging goals against Uzbekistan, but then going ahead and just doing the same thing he did against Congo in the third game of their group stage. And I think, me personally, if I was a Portugal fan, I would be very, very frustrated with the way that they're doing things right now, because, I know Cristiano's been the head of that team for so many years, so many World Cups and things like that. But we've also seen in recent years in Euros and other World Cups that when he doesn't play, Portugal probably play better football. And I think now when you look at the midfield that Portugal has with Vitinha, with João Neves, who are just riding his way to just absolute European dominance with what they're doing at PSG right now. I think it comes down to not just the fact that I think, you finally got to accept the fact that, yes, okay, Cristiano's been a great servant to Portuguese football and also world football as well too. But if you want to win, you got to start putting the best players out there. It's not just the name; it has to be the form. It has to be form. Yeah. And I think it also comes down to, and I've said this till I'm blue in the face, it's that bloody Roberto Martinez, who for me is still one of the worst man managers in world football. So I don't know. That's just as my thoughts. I don't know what you hear something to say about that, but I thought,
I think
smarter, if they be a bit smarter with their forward men, I think Portugal, for me, would have been playing football that would have been up there on a level with what France has been doing so far. And I think
Portugal and Belgium, they've had great sides, and they just haven't got it, have they? They've had great players and just not got there. I don't know what it is with them.
I think the other one, I mean, obviously there was, was it 80, 88, the exception, but I think the Netherlands have had some amazing teams and players in our, in the last 25 years or 30 years. And
would you say they're the best team to never win it?
The best team to never win the World Cup? Probably.
Never. Best team to never.
Never. They must be.
They made 3 finals. Obviously, you had Johan Cruyff.
They must be. I mean, when you look at that,
I'd say they are. Yeah.
That team when they had Van Basten, Hullet, Rijkaard, exceptional. Even that team that England battered in the 90s. They had some. If they weren't having fights where half the team was fighting the other half of the team, they were arguably favourites for that tournament. I think they are. And even today, they're not what they should have been. They're not what they were, but they're still a bloody good team. There's still a lot of decent players in that Dutch squad. I mean,
Portugal's got the best left back in the world with Nuno Mendes. They've got two of the best, probably the most informed midfielders in world football right now. Yeah,
and they've got, and then they've got the other midfielders. Going to win the PFA Player of the Year, isn't he? In the Premier League. So, as much as I think he's still got to prove it in important games. This is the World Cup's the chance to do it. But if he can show, it's all very good playing for a league place when you're out of all the cups in the Premier League. My question is he a Matt Letizia? Or is he as good as United fans say he is? And I think he's got to prove it in the latter stages of the Champions League, or competing to win the Premier League, or in a World Cup. Now's the chance for him to do it. But if he does play well, and Diaz is a world-class centre-back, and I think, Bernardo, I think one of the most underrated players in world football. So that's 6 players there we've named without thinking, who are top players. And then you've got Leao and Neto playing for a position.
out.
And
I mean, some of those names you
Cancelo,
mentioned, it's just like they sound just as stacked as France does.
yeah.
The problem
And-
is that
Yeah.
Portugal probably across that squad has a bit more inconsistencies than what the French
Yeah.
squad
And
does.
I had a, you know, he wasn't necessarily the best attitude or the best defensively, but I don't think any of us can doubt how good a footballer Cancelo was.
Yeah.
He was an amazing, talented footballer.
Despite all the time in Saudi and that, he's still starting as right back every game.
Yeah, yeah, and Costa is not a bad keeper. And is it Ignacio or who's the other centre back?
I mean, they're not
Something like Ignacio, except he sounds Spanish.
Yeah.
I might be
they're not a
imagining that.
strong
But
side, as in physically. They're a quality side, aren't they? They're not a physical side, Portugal, really.
Mm.
You know, they
No.
don't got the big players.
I think that's where France is so frightening is the
that's
strength and the pace.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question for you: a player rumored to be getting kicked out of their team or put up for sale. Would you take Camavinga at City?
No.
Yes.
See,
Never
I've
rocked my
always
boat,
quite liked him. I've always thought he's
No.
looks pretty good. And he's
a
really
Rolls Royce
versatile.
player.
Yeah,
He's got a bad
and-
injury record.
Every
as well.
time we've played them, the two players that I watch the most are Valverde and Camavinga.
Camavinga. Yeah, it's
They're
interesting.
they're great
I'm
players,
interested in
yeah.
Gov's opinion because for years I've thought,
No.
Camavinga, he's underutilized.
He just looks so
there.
smooth on the ball.
never
He
rocked
looks,
my
he just
boat
looks
in,
effortless. It looks effortless
Doesn't
for
he?
him. Yeah.
He's
If he didn't have dreadlocks,
like
and
Tonali is to me.
forward, you would think the guy just was on like a hoverboard or something.
But I would much rather.
Yeah.
History.
Cisco
I'd
says it
much
here. The
rather
problem
go
is though,
yeah.
he's become really
Injuries.
injury prone
I
as well.
said that, yeah.
Yeah. But I'd much rather go for him than Polocchio, because I think
Well-
Camavinga can play fullback. He can play in midfield. He can play a
No,
more
I don't
attacking
agree
or more
with you there,
defensive
Rich.
midfield.
Well,
I think he's-
HS1331 has actually asked a good question. He's saying, okay, let's say it's game 1 at home against Bournemouth, next month. He goes, who will be your starting midfielders for that game?
Well, it depends who we sign. But are we assuming we sign no one else but Anderson, and we're assuming that Rodri is injured?
I think so.
Well, he will be.
I think so.
Yeah, he will be playing.
Yeah.
They'll be on holiday anyway, some of them. So you're probably looking at Nico G.
Well, I'm going to say I'd go for Nick O'Reilly, Elliot Anderson, and Cherky.
Is that O'Reilly starting midfield or still inverting from
No,
left back?
starting in midfield. I think we'll sign another player or two. So I think it'll be a new signing alongside Anderson. But I think I'd rather start O'Reilly than Nico G. And, Reinders needs to figure out how he's going to play for City, if he's going to stay with Maresca and what his role is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still like Scott, though.
I like Scott. I think he's a good player, but
Yeah.
I'd rather, if we're going to spend 80 million, I'd rather go for him than Tonali. But then again, I really love Morgan Rogers last year. So I'm quite taken by the idea of Savinho going and we signed Morgan Rogers. And
Do
he
you
would.
also like the
take
idea
an
of Morgan
academy-
Rogers coming here so then Arsenal don't, because Arsenal are interested in him?
Yeah, but Villa have put the money up, haven't they? To 130, I think, as well.
Yeah, I know,
for
but we'll
Rodgers.
just say Marmoush is 90.
Yeah.
And, we'll give you Marmoush and 40 million
But
for him.
if they're having talks with that BOUADDI, for me, if he's doing it now, even on the world stage, and he's been doing it, he's ready. Why put him on loan? Throw him in there.
Yeah,
because we get it.
It's the versatility tag that does it for me. The fact that he can play number 6 and also be a right back that inverts as well too. Like
he's doing it now.
That's huge. That's huge boxes tick right there. For a new manager coming through, that's the sort of player you want, because it's like not only is he capable of doing those two roles, but like I can also, even at 18, I can still mold him into the player that I want him to be.
But
I can see why City would show some interest. Yeah,
it is totally different coming to the Premier League. I mean, you just don't know with them, do you? Bringing them straight into the deep end. So
Yeah, I'm also surprised. If we're talking about spending the money we're going to spend, I'm a little bit surprised that there hasn't been any rumours that we'd go for Casado. You know, maybe it's because they'd want 150 million for him or something, and it really is not.
Do you still think Caicedo falls under that category for Chelsea as like the sort of player that Chelsea would want to build a team around?
Yeah, but I just don't. I don't know. Maybe they do, but I just don't take Chelsea seriously as a football club at the minute because they're just randomly buying any player. Yeah. All they seem to ask is, will you sign an 8-year contract? Are you under 23 deal? You know, they don't even seem to stop and think if they're any good. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that every player's for sale at Chelsea at the right price, and that every player, and if you're a player as good as a lot of their players could be, I think you'd be a bit frustrated being there.
Yeah, no,
I must be thinking I could go to Madrid. I could go to City.
Yeah. Well, besides Tonali, it seems like City are pretty quiet on the and BOUADDI are pretty quiet on the midfield front. I just wonder if it might be a combination of. Well, I don't know. I wonder if there's any other midfielders because I can't really think of anybody right now. But I wonder if maybe we're just being quiet on the midfield front right now because one, if there are any players that we're interested in, if they're over in the States right now, we're obviously not going to, go for them because they just want to focus on playing their football. But then also too, if they're not playing the World Cup, then they're by rights, rightfully so, on their breaks and probably don't want to talk business until you get a little bit closer to the season. So again, and we've got the preseason coming up in actually exactly a month from now. The match against Inter is in Hong Kong on the 1st of August. So when you think about it, we've still got about another we've got 2 weeks of World Cup, and then we've still got another 2 weeks after that in terms of players actually starting to get back into.
So who've we actually got? Who've we actually got homegrown? Because there's eight positions that have to be homegrown or club trained, right?
Well,
so
all the Moneys will be coming.
Nick O'Reilly probably doesn't count yet, but even if we say, let's pretend he does count because maybe he's 21 before the season starts, so maybe he counts as one. Phil counts as one. We got Semenyo, Gay.
Is this just for Premier League only? Because I know UEFA is a little bit different, and it is.
Well, they've got club. They've got club.
The category, the requirements are going to change a little bit for us because I think Kuzanov is about to turn 23. Which makes him part of the squad. And then I think there was another player who turns 23. Might even be Rico Lewis, actually, who turns 23.
Yeah. So that's the question. We're potentially losing, Ake. Well, we're losing Stones. Ake's likely to go. Trafford's quite likely to go. Rico's likely to go. Now, obviously, I think people forget Gay and Semenyo both, association trained. So they take a homegrown slot. But and the actual club trained will be, depending on who stays or goes. But over 21, it's going to be O'Reilly. No, you don't. But you just have a smaller squad.
Yeah,
that's why someone like Morgan Rogers would be amazing for City because he could come in and be club trained. So he's an extra player in the squad.
I'm trying to remember if Morgan Rogers was in the academy when Maresca was head of the.
I thought he played in that side for Maresca.
So you're in agreement. So you're in agreement. Would you send Mamouche to Villa if it meant we had Rogers come in?
Yeah, but then we've got to because then we get to sign Chris Wood, and all my dreams.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Chris Wood's our backup striker.
MACCA.
The other player that Maresca really loved was Delap.
No.
He Delap was his main striker when he was at the EDS.
I know it's funny you say about Chris Wood, but we did talk about getting a striker he's happy to sit on the bench at his age, or you go for the young pup who's raring to go and he's prepared to sit there and wait. So from one like MACCA to Chris Wood, he one extreme to another.
Yeah, see, I don't know, Gov, like Rich and I have this discussion because it's kind of like, would we have Chris Wood at our team knowing full well that we already know that when he plays against City, he's agent Chris Wood. He will miss a lot of his shots, given the chance, he won't convert a lot of his chances.
The service he's going to get is better,
He'd score goals. See. But he would hardly play any games because, Haaland's always fit.
That's right. Yeah.
And if it was a really easy game in the cup, they wouldn't need to play him because they could, play
And
one of the
McCassie's there
kids.
as well. So
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I think it'd be. I just think it would be good for Pat and me to have.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Might
Yeah.
make up a
The
bit
only
for
the only
Stonesy.
Australian of the two
Stonesy
without a
go.
Kiwi player, but yeah, sure, you know.
You know,
I reckon
Martin
Chris
will be
Wood
pulling his
can
hair
get.
out now.
Chris Wood can wear a cagoule right up to here, can't he?
Yeah.
He'd know
Yeah.
how to wear a cagoule properly.
Martin will be pulling his hair out. I tell you.
No.
Martin
No,
would
but
probably
if
go back.
no,
go
but
back
let
to
me
Oldham.
ask you this. We're going to talk about Chris Wood. We're going to talk about our noisy neighbours. But Rich, if you've obviously watched Australia play their 3 games, and I've got to say, even despite a couple of mistakes against the States, we actually played pretty good in all 3 of them. If there was someone you think would be good enough to get into the City squad from the Australia squad, who do you think it would be? Because for me, despite the fact that in the last 2 years we finally answered the question of having strength at left back, for me it would be Geordie Boss.
Yeah, and I think the goalkeeper replacing Bettinelli would be in all seriousness.
Paddy Beach?
Yeah.
So you'd have Paddy. No, you can't have Paddy Beach as your 3rd choice keeper.
Well,
you could have him as your second choice. You can have him as your second choice if Trafford.
You're asking me a serious question.
I think he'd be happy to sit on there.
If I had to have
Paddy Beach as a 3rd choice keeper.
But I'm saying that would be my choice.
We use the 3rd choice keeper as English quota. He won't fill the quota.
Do you think he'd be happy to sit on the bench?
He's probably got a granddad from Weymouth or somewhere, hasn't he? Well, I think Boss is probably the best of the outfield players.
I've already mentioned mine.
Oh, Aaron Kunda
from Watford.
Yeah.
I think Boss looks probably the best player in the Australian team.
He just looks like he's ready to play there for the next 10 years.
Yeah, he does.
He really does.
Yeah.
And again, their average age is about 22 or 23. So, whatever they do from now on, all it is just going to be learning experiences for 4 years' time in Spain, Morocco, Portugal. But yeah.
And someone's saying we should go for Elise. I just think Elise. I think we could go to Bayern with a world record transfer fee at a minute, and they probably say no.
Yeah, I just think he's way too important to that Bayern.
I mean, it's the sad thing is I remember he was always an amazing talent for Palace, and he'd been at City for a year. He knows Manchester, but I think we missed about. I think we should have been brave enough to go for Elise a few years ago, and we've missed the boat on him.
Yeah,
because I think when he leaves Bayern, it's going to be such a big fee. He's such a talent. He really is. And he was always great to watch at Palace. I always thought of Palace, even though his output was never close to what it is now, but then he didn't have Harry Kane to play with at Palace. But he always looked like technically he was just, level even above Eze. And I think Eze's not a bad player.
Crazy, isn't it, coming from there, Crystal Palace?
I love that swap Donnarumma, Marmoush, Semenyo, Savinho, and Kovacic for Elise. Yeah, but how many of those get in the Bayern team?
Well, I mean, he trimmed the squad. I was just talking about trimming the squad down. So, and then Bayern have turned into the Bavarian Chelsea with now they've got about 35 squad members.
Yeah, that's about 200 million of players. So
Yeah, I know, right? At least it clears the wage bill a little bit.
Imagine if I don't know what they'd be on between them, but I'd imagine they'd be on about 900k a week.
Hang on, wait. So Donnarumma's on close to 300k. So's see, this is where
Marmoush is on 300k.
Yeah, but apparently Sam Lee confirmed that he's actually on a lot less than that.
No, I don't think he did. I think they confirmed he was.
Yeah. Semenyo, I think, is around about the 150k. So you have 600, so 750. Savinho's on 80k, so that would bring it to about 830. And Kovacic, I think, is on around about 150k. So you're talking about £1 million pounds a week. Wage bill off the books.
Yeah. So Bayern will offer you all these players, and at least they will offer you $1 million a week.
Yeah.
And Haaland would have a tantrum.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because he's probably steal all his goals.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's easy when you can just put it in FIFA mode, can't you?
Yeah, the one I'm looking. I am looking forward to, seeing how much Doku steps up again next year, because I thought there were 3 or 4 games last season where Doku was better than anyone else in the Premier League. I think if his performance against Liverpool, the way he came back against Everton, I think there were a few games where no one in the Premier League had better games than those last season. And if he starts to get
I think his
those
best performances are all 3 games.
Yeah.
I'm sure he played all 3 games against Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he can start to string, 8, 9, 10 of those kinds of performances in the season, he's going to be right up there with.
We haven't got a backup though, have we? Actually, in the team for him.
No, not unless Jack Grealish.
Hey, Gov, is this you trying to get Aaron Kunda through the door?
No, he's trying to get Jack Grealish back, Gov.
No, I mean, you've got to look at it. You've got to look at it. Like, Semenyo, all right, we've got McAdoo to play there. You've got Cherky on that side, right? Or Phil. But on Doku's side, we haven't got anyone really. If he gets injured.
Yeah. That's why I'm a bit disappointed that, and that's why I'd be interested to see with Maresca. Marmoush was never right for
Pep.
He plays behind the strikers. He doesn't play on the left or play on the right. It's not his natural game.
The trouble is that Maresca likes to have his wingers even wider than Pep.
Yeah.
So that'll suit.
So it comes back to what you said. If Doku goes down, maybe they do look at utilising McAdoo.
Well, do you know who I would play if Doku went down? Aït-Nouri.
Yeah.
I think Aït-Nouri is I think he's my dark horse for next season to really make.
So what are you
impact.
doing? O'Reilly left back, or are you having Gvardiol there?
Well, yeah. I mean, I
don't know how much the Gvardiol left back thing is going to be utilised now, because
a good option.
I think as we go forward, I think really, and if the rumours are true about Maresca playing a back 3, then I think looking for the next 5 years going forward, I think our mainstay back 3 is probably going to be Musa on the right, Gay in the middle, and Gvardiol on the left.
Yeah,
I think you underrate. I think Diaz is going to play far more than everyone thinks. I think so. I think so too. I think so too. But I just mean, like, I'm just referring to Gvardiol. I think Gvardiol will just continue being that left centre back. That but you can start left back and be left centre back in Maresca's team. If you right back invert, your left back or your right back's going to invert into midfield. So it depends
if Diaz is playing, you're putting Gay on the bench, but you'd have Cuz beside Diaz, wouldn't you?
How many games do we play? So many games.
Yeah, true.
That I think that we so many games that if we keep all 4 of them fit, one of them needs to sit out every 4th game.
That's right.
I must admit, I would like to see Kuzanov playing in the same team as Diaz, because what for me Kuzanov lacks is that kind of wisdom of football and experience. And I think Diaz is still by far the best organizer. My favourite centre-back partnership was Diaz and Stones. And Diaz, Stones did the magic and Diaz just kept everything organised. Yeah. And I think Kuzanov could learn so much. So for me, Kuzanov and Gvardiol, or, Kuzanov and Gay and Gvardiol with Diaz.
So if we're playing the 3, if we're playing the 3,
turn off your radio.
If we're doing that,
Gay and Gvardiol with Diaz.
Stop it.
If we're playing, Rich, if we're playing 3 at the back, right? So you have Gvardiol, Diaz. You've got to have Kuzanov. If we're playing 3 at the back and we play up high, you've got to have that insurance.
But I think we do it by opposition. I think if they're going to be really quick, maybe Diaz doesn't play, and you can have Gvardiol in the middle with Gay and Kuzanov. When you want experience in really top games, I think you want Diaz there to keep
on the game.
Kuzanov starts in Champions League for sure.
Yeah, depending on the game. Yeah,
but for me, Gvardiol's our best centre back. So he's the one I would put in the team first. I think he's the best footballer there.
And I feel like we can safely say that too, mate, because it looks like he will extend his contract and he's going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
And I can
Diaz.
see why.
No,
Well,
Guardiola.
Trev,
I can see
Oh,
why
okay.
every team in Europe would take Guardiola. There's not a
Oh,
team
God,
in
yeah.
Europe who wouldn't
Yeah.
take Guardiola.
Yeah.
So we need to lock him down till something with a 3 and a number bigger than 0 after his name, just to put that to bed.
Yeah.
So that if they really want him, they come and pay,
that's right.
50% more than's ever been paid for a centre back ever.
He'll take the money that comes off the books from John Stones and some on top of that.
Yeah. Well, he's already on a
Easy,
fairly
yeah.
decent. Yeah. Give him half of John Stones' money and he'll be one of the best played defenders in world football.
Mm.
On top of what he's getting today. But I'd do it.
Well, Rich, you said something before that I've always had a lot of sympathy for or empathy with, and that is that you think the defence should be played to suit the opposition, right? So
Yeah.
if we're worried about speed, if our main threat from the opposition is somebody really fast, then obviously Kuss gets a shout there.
And Gay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kuss got a lot of game time, but I'd really like to see Kuss getting some game time alongside Diaz, so
Yes.
Diaz can just teach him the discipline in the team, teach him when to go, how to hold his line, and then he can more than cover,
That's right.
on pace. If we lack pace with Diaz in the side, he can more than cover it because he'll be in the right place at the right time because Diaz will have him there.
Has Gay ever played left back?
I believe he has a couple of times
yeah.
in a pinch at Palace. Yeah,
Interesting.
He's
Yeah, I believe
right
he
footed
has.
though, isn't he? He's right footed
But he
though,
doesn't,
so
he
can
doesn't
play right
need
back.
to be over there.
yeah,
We've got
yeah, he
too
is.
many on that side, really, haven't we?
Yeah, except he's right footed, Gay. I think Guardiola's are only left footed.
We've got eight
No,
Nori
he's
or
not
Riley.
I've not got an answer to my most awkward question yet, or I've not got an answer I'm happy with, and that was the Nico O'Reilly
midfield.
Yeah, the midfield question, because he's a midfielder, and the unsatisfactory answer I get is that we keep him at left back, but he drifts in, and that's what Maresca wants. I've never been happy with that answer because I think he wants to be a midfielder. When is he going to get the chance to be one? Because he's been so brilliant at left back, and so we're all afraid to give him that go in the midfield, even though we're looking for midfielders. We're trying to buy midfielders.
But you also say that too because the freedom.
Go and one will stay. Yeah. They both won't go. I don't think. I think one will go, one will stay. I think. So O'Reilly, he does that anyway, doesn't he? If he's playing left, he does that, and you'll find him in.
But it's not the same as having a midfield role, though. Do you know what I mean? He's always got to be thinking about his cover.
If we're getting,
I get what you're saying, Trev, too. But I also think that with O'Reilly, it's a situation of like when he came. Well, he said in interviews before. He said when you're at the academy, when you go in there, and this is how much influence Pep and even Maresca in a way had on the academy. He said like when you come in the academy, you think to yourself, you're like, I'm a midfielder, or I'm a defender, or I'm a forward, or something like that. But then you're taught one of the first things they teach you is to not just be good at the position you're in, but actually be understanding of every other position around you. So you might come in there like he said naturally his favorite position playing as a kid was a number 10. But then by the time he'd already come through the under 12s, under 16s, that he was already being shown how to work as a winger, how to work as a wing back, how to work as a defensive midfielder, and things like that. So he's already taken that culture, that footballing culture the club has. And Pep said, not only are you very good on the ball with your feet, your understanding of the game's very good, you're quick as well too. I'm going to put you at left back, basically on paper, and then this is how I want you to be utilized. And since he's been able to do that, yeah, sure, he starts every game as a left back, but then you see his heat maps, you see the way he plays. It's like Pep said, you're a left back, but it's when you've got the ball or when we're in transition or when we're going forward, I want you to start as a 6. I want you to progress as an 8. I want you to be in the position of a 10. So he's basically just giving him liberty of the field. He's just a left back on paper.
And to be fair,
he becomes a utility. He just becomes a utility man. And I think personally, Nico O'Reilly probably looks at it and he goes, "I've never probably played football so freely in my life, basically."
If you watch
I understand where you're coming from about where he should start, but I think Pep has just unleashed the shackles on him just to go and play not only the game that he wants to play, but he realizes this guy probably plays at his best when he's just free to just roam around the midfield because he reads the game, he understands the plays.
So
And
we're kind of wrong to be thinking of him as a left back who's a frustrated midfielder. He's actually got the best
I'd
of
just say
both worlds.
left back on paper.
Have you watched some of the positions Cucurella got in last season? Cucurella was up at number 10 for Chelsea. He was quite
Cucurella thought he was Centurion season Leroy Sané.
Yeah, Cucurella.
He was that far forward on the left-hand side every game,
yeah. But my problem, if we decide that's what we're going to do with Nick O'Reilly, which we could do, it worries me that we've got a player as good as Nori who's not going to get game time, and I think he's an exceptional footballer.
Me too.
B, it then makes me worry about our right back, because I think that then means your right back has got to be a centre back. They've got to be as good as Reece James, who could, and I'm not sure Kuzanov is, but I've called for Kuzanov right back, but if you're playing right back,
not in this
maybe
system.
you're right centre back, but I'm not sure Nunes. I'm not sure I want Nunes as our right centre back, which is what he becomes if we don't sign another fullback.
That's right. Yeah,
it sounds good to say like Kuzanov playing at right back because we know how bloody quick he is, but as good as it would be to see him playing that right back role, especially recovering, like what we saw Kyle Walker do against Vinicius Jr. or fast forwards like that or wingers like that. The other thing you got to look on the other side of the coin too was just also when Kyle Walker was going forward when we were in possession as well too, just the overlaps they used to do with Raheem Sterling and that as well too.
Yeah,
we've never seen Kuzanov do that yet in the 18 months that he's been signed with us.
No, I don't think.
Now, whether that comes into his game because he is still very, very young, 22 years of age, whatever. Again, we got him at a time where we might be able to instill that into him. But until that happens, I think he's just got to continue being a centre back.
There were large chunks of Walker's career where he didn't do that, though. There were large chunks of Walker's career where he was playing right of three because Cancelo was about as much a fullback as no, he was a world-class midfielder.
No, what did we call him when he was left back, Rich? We called him the false three.
Yeah, he was on the right wing. He managed to find his way onto the
I love that. I love that.
I think to answer your question.
So is Nico a false two?
He's a
false two.
He's a false 10 and 3/8.
Go on, Governor.
If we do get a second midfielder, then there's no room for him in there, so he'd have to play left back.
Yeah, and someone said that as well. Where does Nico go if we get another midfielder? I get it. I get it. I'm kind of happier with the answer that I got tonight.
Yeah,
but you got to remember the players aren't going to play 50, 60 games. You're going to be
there's that as well.
So,
yeah. We're building a squad, not a team. Yeah.
You also got to remember we had 5 centre backs last year, and we were still getting on the phone to Max Lane 36 hours before a Premier League game, saying you've got to come out of loan.
But at least we scored 10 goals in that game, so it was worth it in the end.
2 centre backs going out same game.
Yeah,
but we have broken a lot of centre backs recently.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
It cost us a season 2 seasons ago.
So I think the truth is we worry about what happens if we have too many players, and I tell you what happens when you have too many players: you win the treble, and some of them are unhappy and they leave. When you don't have too many players, the Scousers or Arsenal win the league because you don't have fit centre backs to play a match. And we've had 3 seasons in recent years we haven't won the league. All of them when injuries, particularly at centre back and centre midfield, robbed us of our team, and we couldn't compete. So I've got no problem if we have too many and someone gets pissed off and leaves, because that's a lot less of a problem than playing bloody 38-year-old midfielders at centre back.
I'm not
bringing
having
people on back from loan.
Unhappy to sit on the. We need a strong bench. So
I'm unhappy, but Salavi, I'm not. It was great in the treble season that we had players as good as Mares on the bench. Now Mares maybe didn't like it, but I'd much rather that than have
But that's
kid
a
who may
natural
or might
thing.
not be good
No,
enough.
every player wants to
And that's
play.
just
Yeah.
life.
It's a natural thing.
Then the
If
Max
you're
Elaine.
I'd much rather have an unhappy Laporte than having to play a 38-year-old Fernandinho centre back. You know, it's just that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And Laporte, I tell you, I watched Spain the other day. Laporte is still
Looks good.
bloody top
Yeah,
player.
he's still doing
Yeah,
all
he
Top
did.
right.
player. Top
he did.
player. He was wasted going.
Yeah, but then again,
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
can look good against that basket case of Bielsa's
Is he back
Uruguay
at? Is he
the
back
moment,
at Bilbao now? Is he back at Bilbao? Now?
I think he's still Saudi because
Is he?
I know there was reports, but I never saw anything.
And that's when it's all on the player, that isn't it? It's all on the players whether they want to go or
Yeah.
not. So,
I mean, at the risk of sounding churlish here, there's an argument that could be made that
No, he's at Bilbao. Sorry, Trevor. He's at Bilbao.
the last
He's
two
now
league
Bilbao.
titles, the last two league titles weren't won by Liverpool and Arsenal. They were lost by us because of
that's a shout.
injuries.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that against Arsenal. I definitely
think-
felt that. I think they got
the
away
season
with it.
after the 4 in a row, Trev, I think it was a combination of that too, and also we just completely ran out of gas because I think we were barely running on fumes by the time we lifted that 4 in a row trophy, and I think sooner or later there was going to be a drop. But I mean, me personally, I think after the treble season, if we hadn't had that 4 in a row to chase the season after that, I think we would have seen an even bigger rebuild, as big a clear out and rebuild as we've seen over the last 18 months. Probably wouldn't have won the league title that year, but I think between now and then, we probably would have won at least one of the last 2 Premier League titles.
Yeah.
And I did this thing that I've quoted a lot this week where I looked at the average age of the treble winning squad, and 5 of the players were over 29 and 4 of them were over 30, 31.
Yeah.
You know, so they ticked over another year into that 32, 33 zone.
Just imagine, though, the last 2 seasons when we've had all these centre-back injuries, if we still had Laporte. If he'd been there, if he'd have stayed, like, it's so, you know, he went, he's still only like 32. He's still in the prime of his game as a centre-back. And, you know, I don't think I've ever seen it. You know, for all John Stones' magic, John Stones could not ping a ball from one corner of the pitch onto Bernardo's foot from like 60 meters. Like
Laporte had a left foot on him like Kolarov. He had a left foot like Kolarov.
Yeah, except he was a lot more accurate than Kolarov with it.
Oh God, yeah.
Kusa is showing signs of being able to do that. That cross field ball.
I think Kusa's got some.
I think he's got it. He needs to work on it, but I think it's there.
Guardiola as well. Guardiola's got a good.
But the Guardiola ball I like is the one straight through the middle of a defense for Haaland to run onto. He sees that like Kev used to see it.
Yeah.
You know, that middle, that ball down the middle. Guardiola sees that. Kovacic sees that ball.
Yeah.
There was one towards the end of the season
we got
where
Turkey
he saw
to do
it.
that now.
Yeah. I think Turkey and Haaland's relationship hasn't quite worked out yet. They haven't worked it out. They just need to play more together. Because once that clicks in, and if Phil comes back on Phil form, this is frightening. This is frightening for anybody. To have Cherki, Foden, and Haaland, and people, and then we've got Doku on the other side. The jury still seems to be out on Semenyo. I think he's been a great player for the predatory nature that he has. Those goals coming out of nowhere. Do you know? I mean, they're a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not putting
honestly,
any pressure on
if
Phil for the
Marmoush goes,
season,
then
but I just want him
Semenyo-
to come out. I just want him to come out of the blocks hot.
Yeah.
And we need to, because let's be honest, a lot of the 17 squad members been at the World Cup. You know, like
That's right.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those squad aren't even up to match their fitness by the start of October. To be honest,
I read a lot
so we
about
need
Phil's
the players who couldn't make it. We need them to come out of the gate
That's
hot.
right.
We really do.
I read a lot around what happened with Phil in January and December, because it was the end of December when his form dropped.
Yeah.
And this is when he tried to get a different agent to John, his dad, because it was just getting too much. He was getting too big. He was getting too well known. The commercial side was going mental. And John had done the best he could, but he's not a professional agent with a team of people who work for footballers around him. And so the first time Phil went outside, the agency that he took on made an absolute mess of it, released some tweets that insulted Mbappe in Phil's name, and he just fired them. Went back to his dad.
That's right.
And then it was in December when he met Haaland's agent, and then she negotiated. He took her on in January, and she in one of the interviews I translated from Spanish, she was saying that she likes to create calm around the players because the world they live in is mad. They've got people shouting their names everywhere they go. And then Phil's moved out. He's moved out of the house that he was in into like a really private place with a big garden, so that he's not overlooked and the media can't get to him, the press can't get to him. So I think that's going to help his whatever was going on in his head. And I think that was part of it. Yeah. I think there might have been some trouble between him and his dad, which is something you never want. Do you know what I mean? It might have been a really tough change.
Yeah, he's a red,
she seems to have calmed things down.
His dad's a red, isn't he? Bit of a wrong un.
Well, I probably
right.
not.
His dad was red. His mum's blue.
Red. Yeah,
wrong.
Yeah. I sense some family.
And,
yeah,
and
nobody.
I was trying to be
like
polite, Governor. I was trying to be polite.
Yeah,
but he's done an incredible job.
Yeah,
he's done an incredible job to take Phil from 6 years old to where he was up until last year. He was his agent for that whole career. Yeah. So whereas he's got a professional agent with a team of people around him who just will do so many things for him on that whole kind of commercial side that he no longer has to get involved in. There's a lot of drama involved in being a footballer. There's a lot. It attracts drama magnets. You attract people who attract drama.
That's what stuffed the Kane deal up, wasn't it? Because his brother was his agent, and he stuffed it up coming to us.
Yeah, his brother was an absolute plonker with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I reckon he still would have got the same numbers as Haaland if he came to us.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
King's just put in Tonali news. Apparently, Tonali to Spurs is getting very, very close, and they've just and this is just after Spurs, and this is after Spurs have just agreed to. They've signed Mateus Fernandes from West Ham as well.
Do you know what? I like the other day I saw this. Goldbridge put it out a tweet taking the piss out of Spurs for trying to compete with United for Fernandes. And he basically, what did he say? It was like a lion. It was like a puppy trying to fight a lion.
Trying to take a bone off a lion.
Yeah. And then a couple of weeks later, Fernandes, he's going to Spurs.
Yeah.
Just shows he's got no pull anymore.
Yeah,
they haven't, and they don't know it. They are so slow to realize it.
Yeah.
I've met a couple online. The couple that I follow actually have been really sane about it. They get it. They absolutely understand where they are.
I think there is also a reality that a lot of footballers, there is an attraction of London that the northwest of England doesn't have to have. Footballers, particularly from overseas, and I think
they've heard of it.
Yeah, Fernandes lives. He's got his life in London, etc. It's probably, it's probably like, Spurs. They were only one place apart in the league the season before, and the only reason, let's be honest, the only reason United finished where they did is because they played 40 games in a season. What did we play? 66 or? Arsenal played about 70. They played 40 games. That's why they finished where they did. They played half a season. So
it's not Carrick's genius. Let me put it that way.
No, I think I mean that's what's going to be really interesting this year because I think it is. I think a team like Chelsea and Newcastle will be the same. There's some quite good teams who are going to have 40, 45 game seasons without Europe, and they will improve massively. Like Chelsea under Alonso are going to be, I'd be very surprised if they don't make the top five without European football to put them off.
How well do we know Amar 74199? Because he's going to.
Amar's a regular. Yeah, Amar is a regular, but he's not the biggest
shit for 2 seasons.
He's not the biggest
apart from a 6 month pack. Yeah. Have a word with yourself, son.
Amar's all right. He's a little bit misery guts. We sometimes wonder if he's a burner account for Alan. But no, he's all right. Yeah.
No, he's got my attention.
Alan's
usually not a good place to be.
Alan's too busy ranting about Ben Stokes at the moment to be too worried
true.
about.
Oh, sorry, we mentioned his name, so I'll cue it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Alan's spending his life tweeting out council election results when, you know, Reform's got 302 votes against 186 for Labour or the Tories or whatever, and his social media feed is basically British. And who would have ever thought British council elections would be interesting to anyone?
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you'd be surprised how consequential they are.
Yes, you know.
God,
Give
it's
me a
cringe.
break.
Yeah, but no, it's yeah, but I mean, it makes me proud. Makes me proud, Pat. It's almost like, you know, that it should be automated that we've got AI that if the word Alan is mentioned, it just comes on within a second.
Yes.
Too late.
Oh,
He's
God,
just
yeah.
been mentioned again.
Yeah.
You're too late.
Yeah. Although,
Oh, jeez.
in truth, because he's been here, in truth,
Bloody hell. It's a workout. I'm having a workout. Stop talking about it.
yeah,
He who shall not be named.
given he's pretty much known as Ozzie Allen because I don't know if he's been back for many years and he's
Oh, hang on.
firmly ensconced
Just
in
quick-
Australia.
You mentioned it again. Quick.
You should play
silence.
Waltzing Matilda when I mentioned his
No,
name.
quick. Sorry, guys. Quiet. No, quiet. I've got to play it again. We mentioned it. There you go.
Right. Okay. Good. Good.
Nothing's coming
Play the
through.
Tom Waits waltz in Matilda. That's a tune.
Nothing's coming through.
What do you mean?
Hang the
didn't
DJ.
hear
Come on,
anything.
man.
Oh, don't worry about it. It was just.
Was
Just,
it?
yeah, comedy for
I was
working
waiting for the
classes,
national anthem.
Thierry said, "What do you think about the Rodri situation?" Again, mate, we don't know what the so-called operational surgery is going to be, and we probably won't know anything at least until probably a week after Spain get knocked out or after they win the World Cup, whichever one. Whichever one happens sooner.
What we can say about it, and most of you know I'm a nurse. Earlier in my nursing career, I worked at the Goethe Institute, which is probably one of the best orthopedic hospitals in the world. I worked for Professor Schmidt. So when I speak about this, I kind of know a bit about what's going on. If he was allowed to play for Spain in the World Cup and then choose to have the operation afterwards, it's nothing serious. It's nothing really urgent. It's more than likely a continuation of a previous surgery or a cleanup of a previous surgery, like scar tissue, something like that. Or, you know, but it's not a new injury. I doubt very much whether it was a serious injury, and he chose when to have it. And there wasn't any other time, because I think it would be unreasonable to ask him to give up a World Cup. You know, I think he had a choice, and he said he asked the club as well. I think the club will have had input into that. And because it's Rodri, they said, okay, well, you know, you'll miss the first few weeks of the season. Not perfect, but if you're going to miss any time during the season, the first 2 weeks isn't too shit, you know.
Exactly.
I think it'll be more than that, Trev, because he'll go on holiday, then he'll have the surgery, recoup. I reckon you won't see him till, if they don't bring him back too soon, you're looking at October.
I think he's having the surgery instead of a holiday.
Right.
I don't think he's going on holiday. I think the surgery.
Let's be honest, he did have a very nice holiday for a fair chunk of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think he's holidayed.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. He's used up all his annual leave.
Yeah. He's got to get people to cover his shifts if he wants any more.
You get double time.
Yeah. Oh, don't remind me. Fucking hell. Oh, dear.
A lot of people have got negative about him. I will never be negative about him. I will always give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think he's staying next season now, though.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
I think he's going on a free at the end of next season. I think.
Yeah, I reckon they'll run his contract out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to.
We got prime Rodri. We got pre-injury Rodri.
Yeah.
But
we got more than we ever could have imagined out of him. So yeah.
But there's not no chance. There's not zero chance that he resigns. He signs a 2 years extension.
No,
there's not a zero.
The injury happened around the time where players would usually be looking at renegotiating or extending their contracts. And I think the injury probably allowed him just to have a little bit more time, but remains to be seen.
It's a big question.
Because a lot of players now at this stage in their contract, the writing would be on the wall. But I think he's just under a different circumstance.
He's only just turned 30.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
reckon
He had
there's 2 more
he had
years
plenty
left
of
in
time
him.
before the World Cup to decide as well.
Yeah.
Well, no, because the last contract was offered in May. We know that for a fact. That's well documented.
Yeah. It was
The
on
last
table,
contract he
wasn't
was
it?
offered in
Yeah.
May. He was offered one a long time ago, but that was
Mm.
before the ACL. And I think there was another offer earlier on in the season last year, which he didn't sign because I don't think he knew whether he'd come back as good as he did, you know. And I don't think he's come back as good yet. I think he'll get there. And so May is the one that he's been thinking on. So he's just had 2 months on that, and there's a World Cup. So I'd rather give him the doubt. I feel better, and I think it's more fun to give him the doubt than to catastrophize and say, "Oh, he's definitely gone," because none of us can say that.
That offer in May was 375, and did he knock it back?
He didn't. He's not knocked it back. He's thinking about it. He's not. He didn't say no to it.
It's on the table. He hasn't said yes or no.
Yeah.
You know, so look, I'm not hoping.
you know,
Another thing too, Trev, is it appears City aren't
life.
pressuring him either. It appears
Why
City
would
aren't
you think
pressuring him
about
either.
it?
It's just, here you go, take your time.
What do you think about it? 375. What you thinking of?
Oh well,
I know.
I think most of us, Rich will have second thoughts, but you know, most of us will turn it down. Or would actually say yeah.
Remember, this is his last.
Maybe
big
he thinks
contract.
he can get. Maybe he thinks he can get 300 a week and the 30 million signing on fee.
So the other argument is it because
this is his last big contract?
He's a Ballon d'Or winner. Why shouldn't he be on the same as Haaland?
Yeah.
Is that another argument?
It is, and that I'm not saying it is, but you know, just remember, this is his last big contract, and last season he learned how quickly a career can end, and that's got to be in your brain, because you've played football all your life, and you get to 29 and you get an ACL, and you understand that it can all end in one game, in one afternoon, in one moment of impact. Yeah. Everything that you've got, your entire future that you've never even had to think about, could be gone, and that's got to play on your mind. And I think he's got to, now at the age he's at, he's got to really be selfish. And do you know what? I'm all right with that, because we owe him nothing and he owes us nothing.
That's right.
You know, I just want him to go elegantly. I want him to go like Kev went, like, you know, like the two lads who just, like, you know, in a beautiful way where we all have a bit of a tear, you know, and there's a lovely video made, because we've got used to that. I mean, Governor will remember, and Rich will remember, there were players that we couldn't wait to see the back of before. We'd sell players and we'd all be like, you know, packing the bags for them, offering to give them a lift to wherever they were going, like, see ya, ta-ra, Jamie Pollock.
But like you say, hopefully we get to know if it is he's going to run his contracts out, then obviously he'll get a great send-off at the end of it. So
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah.
But he might sign. Might sign an extension. We just don't know.
We can't say there's zero chance of him extending, but a lot of people are. Yeah. And then a lot of people are reading that and then hating him, and that's wrong. I think Martin put in the chat, you know, the RODRI hate is a disease, and he's right. It's rampant amongst some fans.
I think the online hate for any player is a disease. It's awful.
True. True.
Look, we'll wrap up in a few minutes, but just get some last closing things. Trev, obviously you were just out when we were just talking about things City and obviously World Cup as well. England, even if they beat Congo, they've got to go. They've got to go to the bloody Azteca and try and beat an incredible Mexico side. Yeah,
it won't happen. I put out a tweet earlier on, if you want to have a look at it. That was the protocol for teams going to play at the Azteca, and it just read that and then pay attention to how England prepare. And I bet it's nothing like, because there's two strategies. You go 2 weeks before, we can't do that, or you go 24 hours before.
Yeah, and I don't think that works.
24 hours. That sounds like the England cricket team for the Ashes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Trev, the going the 24 hours before works in terms of aerobic fitness better than going 2 or 3 days. But if you haven't learned how the football flies at 2,500 meters, you've not got. I was saying to these boys earlier, first time the NFL went there, the Patriots as world champions went and played in Mexico City. Tom Brady, arguably the best quarterback he's ever played. They went in night before, took the 24-hour plan. Tom Brady threw the ball over the head of his wide receivers all game because the ball travels further and faster, and he could not. He could not do it. And the other team, I think, had played there for a week or two, and they were in a slightly better position. So I think given how reliant England are on set pieces and putting the ball on Kane's head, I don't think they can go not knowing how a corner's going to travel. I think they need to get
and
there
Joe Hart's already
as early as possible. Yeah, I think they
Joe
need to
Hart
go
already pointed out this ball is faster and flies differently.
And 2,500 meters or 2,300 meters, whatever Mexico City is, we're going to be booting the ball straight over the heads of our players and off the.
Oh, you watch
but maybe
your first
Nico
3 or 4
post and
corners
gets
are all
a
going to be
hat-trick.
air-mailed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charles. I was just going to say your first England's first 3 or 4 corners are going to be absolute airmail.
Is it 2 goals they've conceded in 8 World Cup games?
9 games.
They've played more World Cup games at the Azteca than I think any other team has played World Cup games at a single stadium.
The stadium opened. The title of my tweet was 1966 and all of that.
Yeah,
because that was the last World Cup we won, and that was the year that stadium opened. They've lost 2 games since then at that stadium.
But in World Cup
finals,
Cups
or all international?
No, in official games. There's been
actual official competitions.
In World Cup,
that'll also include Copa America, Gold Cup, World Cup.
In World Cups, though, they've played, I think it's 8 or 9 games at the Azteca. I think they played 3 in '86. It's the 3 this one, and there was 2 in. I don't know when the other one would have been, but they played 8 games in World Cup finals, and they've got, I think it's conceded 2 goals, undefeated. I think they've drawn 1-1-7 or drawn 2-1-6, conceded 2 goals. It's brutal, and it's an away game as well. It's an away game.
It's going to take a miracle.
Yeah. I said, and I'll give credit to the England team here. If they beat Mexico in Mexico, and they've got to get past Congo first, that will be the biggest result for English football since '66.
Yeah,
I think it's I think it'll be the hardest game we've had in a World Cup since '66.
How would you play it? How would you play it? Would you park the bus?
You've got to try and conserve energy.
Yeah. You've got to keep the ball on the ground.
You're gonna have to have a 16-player strategy, because I think you've got to figure out
your bench well.
Yeah, and you've got to figure out with, say, Rice and Anderson, you can't run yourself into the ground like you would normally, because you might not last 50. So they're going to have to really think, do we actually?
Are you willing to rotate your squad as well?
Yeah, do we have Anderson for half and bring
80
on?
Minutes?
Yeah,
especially if you think there's a good chance it's going to go to extra time as well.
Yeah, actually set out with some players deliberately to play for 6 minutes. Yeah. I think the tactics of playing, like Anthony Gordon, if he starts as he starts, which is running around like a mad ass fly for the first 10 minutes, because Tuchel's game is hyper pressing for 10 minutes. If you do that at altitude, you're screwed. So they've got to really think about it.
There's 2 things. I know you want to close, but I think this is interesting. There's 2 things that I learned this week when I was reading up about this. The worst way to prepare is to have 72 hours, because that's when the worst symptoms of altitude kick in after 72 hours.
Yeah.
But it reminded me, as soon as I read that, I thought, oh, shit, because I was talking to Elton Wellesby, and he went to the World Cup in Mexico with the Northern Irish team. And he was looking after Norman Whiteside, and he said that we went out for a jog, and within 3 minutes we were just knackered. And the thing is that they've been to the Rocky Mountains for 3 days to acclimatize. So when I read that about the 72-hour thing, I just thought, how did they not know this science? How did they get that wrong? There's only 2 ways you do it, and one of them's not available. So like I said, it's basically the quick hit.
You fly in 24 hours before, play the game before the worst of the symptoms of altitude kick in, and you get out of altitude as soon as you can afterwards, so that you avoid it. Because it takes 72 hours for your sats to go down, and you start getting the headaches and all of the discoordination and shit like that happens at altitude.
Well, here's the thing. Sorry, Rich. I'll just quickly interject. As soon as so, let's assume England beat Congo, and if they had any wherewithal, they'd be on the first flight out to Mexico City straight after the game. From when they finish that game to when they play Mexico, it's on the 5th of July. So they got from the end of that game to the start of the game, the Azteca, they've got 4 days.
Well, they need to stay away from altitude and just fly in the day before.
Can they fly up for altitude for one training session, learn how the ball flies, and then just get back down? Because it is hard. I mean,
maybe I mean, ball tech is incredible. Maybe they can get a ball made that will fly like that just at sea level.
Yeah, and what you've got, and this was a saying, like I think people underestimate Ecuador, because Quito, we were just saying earlier, is at nearly 3,000 meters. So you've got a team there who is equipped better than Mexico to play at altitude.
Their stadium's higher,
and they got outplayed. I don't know. I think you're going to have to really rethink that Rice Elliott, because I think you're going to need one of them on the pitch all the time. And if you start them both, they're both going to be dead by 65. So you might have to think, well, I'm going to start with one of them, bring the other one on after 55 minutes, give them 10 minutes in the second half. And that way, if it goes to extra time, you've got them. I think you don't want to be playing, Madueke and Gordon, because I think, they're all about lung bursting energy. And I think that's going to get sapped in this.
Even Kane. Kane might not last 90 minutes.
Kane's going to have to wander around a little bit less, and England are just going to have to be.
So what you're saying, Rich, is every single player at some point in the game will have to do a little bit of an Andre Pirlo. What Andre Pirlo does for 90 minutes?
Just wander around.
Just meanders around gently for right place, right time. Yeah.
I think they're going to have to try and force Mexico to do a lot more running than them. And that's not going to be easy for a team that's not how they wanted to play. And
Mexico
I think
will play a way that'll force them to run as well.
I think maybe with hindsight, we should have done what the Norwegians did and said sod it and just framed the game against them. Framed the last game and tried to lose to Panama.
We don't play low block though, do we? Like we don't do that.
Tuchel's got to really think.
It's a pity, because it would actually suit players like Palmer. You can stroll a bit and do a bit of magic. It would suit players like that a bit more.
Slabhead.
I'm not sure it would. I mean, because he can get more oxygen.
Yeah. Basically,
He's got a bit more storage room.
You start
plus, there's not a lot to get confused going on in there.
I'll be really interested to see.
Big man with ball.
I'll be really interested to see the betting markets in England, because to me, I look at that and I think like Mexico should be about $1.40, and England should be like $4 or $5. And I bet you they won't
be. No, the sentiment will be.
I reckon it'll be about $2.50 each.
Yeah, and if it is, then Mexico will be one of the best bets in the history of the sport.
Here's my betting strategy.
And if England win, fair play.
Have a look at the prediction markets, because if you look at the prediction markets and the bookmakers, there's often like a way to arbitrage backing both and being guaranteed a win. It happened the other day. I looked at a game and a friend who's a stockbroker, and I just went through it with him. And then I ran it through the AI as well, and they said, "Oh, it was the golden goal." The what do they call it? The golden boot. The golden boot is still an over-round book if you use the bookies versus the prediction markets, because prediction markets are ridiculously sentimental. People buy their favorite player because he's their favorite player. It's almost like a donation if you're going to back against him. And there were 6 points difference between Mbappe and I forget who the second favourite was. It's not Kane. Kane was 5-1.
Messi.
Haaland was
Messi's
8-1.
like
Wasn't
Messi's
And
right
Messi,
now.
that's right. So,
Yeah.
so 6 points difference on the prediction markets, and yet in the bookies they were both 11-4 because
Yeah.
the bookies ain't sentimental.
Mm.
The bookies went, how many goals has he got already?
But
Yeah.
equally, if you are betting on a British bookmaker, and a lot of England fans don't rate Mexico as they should, England might well be massively, underpriced, and Mexico
Right.
might be, because
Yeah.
you get some mad. You do
Might
get
get
some
some.
mad results. I remember, and I kicked myself for not betting, but when we went to Real Madrid in the knockout stages of the Champions League, there was one bookie that had Real Madrid at $4.20 at home. And I'm like, I don't care how much better we think City are than Madrid.
Mm.
Madrid $4.20 at home is just a
It's madness.
fool's price.
Steal.
Yeah.
And there's part of me thinking that you'd be mad not to like remortgage your house to put it on Madrid. Of course, I didn't. I put it in a double with someone else, and they bloody well lost. But that was just like, and City were like even money, and it's like, that's stupid.
Mm.
I know they've got injuries. I know they're not the Real Madrid of old,
Yeah.
but Real Madrid at home, no,
Rich, it was
in
like
a knockout game.
Yeah, it was like all the way through the first few years of when Pep was at City. It was like, just because we had a really good run in the group stages, all of a sudden the bookies put us as favourites to win the Champions League. And it was like, if you just actually had a look and you realize, hang on a sec, Real Madrid, the players they have, the way that they turn it on the second half of every single season, and then usually at that particular time, because they always were a bit slow out of the blocks in the group stages, you'd look and you go, Real Madrid are paying like $12 or something to win the Champions League. And it's like the easiest money.
Yeah.
It was the easiest money you could put on. You just I got $20 there we go. And then 6 months later you get an alert saying, oh yeah, you won $250. Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Forgot about that.
I'm 1,000,000% convinced as well that it is much, much, much harder for a Premier League team to win the Champions League. And
yeah, me too.
It was City, but the one that struck me massively was Liverpool. Was it 2020 when they got? Was it 2020 they got to the final against Madrid?
Wait, they lost 2 finals against Madrid with Klopp, and they won one against Spurs.
Yeah, they lost. I think it was the one that maybe it was 2020, 21.
Well, 2018 was the one in Ukraine where Gareth Bale scored the ridiculous overhead.
No,
kick.
not that one. Not that
one.
one.
2022.
And they were
Paris.
22.
Paris, yeah.
Liverpool were a better team than Real Madrid all season, but by the time of the final, Liverpool just looked knackered. They just looked like they'd just fallen off a cliff with the Premier League, and I think City a couple of seasons looked knackered. And Pep played his team to be at its peak late in the season. City were always not very good early in the season because Pep was having us to try and peak then. But I think we just have too many hard games in the Premier League, and the teams are too tired. And I think we saw from United, who were a relegation side the season before last, that when they only had to play 40 games, a relegation side can become a top 4 side by playing 25 games less than all the other teams around you. And I think that's why my bet for making Champions League this year is going to be Chelsea, because I don't think they've got European football.
And for that reason, do you think United, depending on what they do in the transfer market, they could easily not even finish close to the top 8 in the Champions League?
Yeah, I'm of the camp that I'm surprised they've taken on Carrick. I think Carrick's a failed Middlesbrough manager who, because he only had to play one game every 2 weeks, with a talented squad of players. I do think they signed better players last year. I think Waymo and those, and what's his name? Is it
Cunha and
Cunha?
Cunha.
I think they're better.
Sesko.
I think because for the first time in years, they accepted we've got to go and try and buy the best players from the bottom half of the league than try and sign world stars from everywhere.
Well, they couldn't get them.
And so I think they made better signings, but I think playing 40 games in a season compared to 65 from all the other teams at the top just shows you the difference. Because you've got twice as long to prepare for every game, you have half as many injuries, your players aren't fatigued, and you can just play better. And
but they haven't got any money. They're just on borrowed money all the time.
Yeah, they're getting
they're in.
Spurs for players. I mean, that's just, you know, they wanted, you know, Anderson and Fernandez, and I mean, who are they going to get?
They've still got outstanding transfer money. I've got it here. I've written it down.
The 260 million they still
debt
owe.
is like 728 mil. Outstanding transfer debt is 360 mil.
Oh, 360.
Of which 209 million is due within the next year.
Yeah,
right.
And that's probably for players like Anthony.
So in all of it, I read the overall the 1 billion in debt, and the interest on that is 50 mil a year. Do you reckon?
Jesus.
So if they're going for this new stadium, which is going to cost another 2 billion.
Oh, the Salford Circus top.
Right, that's 100 million a year interest on top of that.
They're going to find themselves in the position, if they're not there already, where Real Madrid and Barcelona are. It's a liquidity problem.
They're doing
the revenue.
Do you think they'll start like doing like Barcelona did, and they'll start trying to sell future assets?
Well, I think Arsenal
did I think they're already doing that to raise the money for the new stadium.
Yeah, and the difference between
it.
The difference between the transfer debt as well is that the transfer debt's all, you know, current. It's, you know, pretty much current liability. You've got to pay it in the next 2-3 years because you're only paying it over the life of the contract. That's what got Barcelona in trouble. If United have got $1 billion of debt, but it's on 25-year, you know, terms, you know, with a financial institution at low interest, then that's, you know, so
like
be
a mortgage.
Yeah. But if they owe 360 million to players, that's hard because that's going to be 200 million next season, 150.
I mean, with the mortgage, the house is going to be worth more by the end of it. But with a player, it's like a car,
right?
Yeah,
got them home for 550 mil against they're secured against their assets, and the interest is 5%.
Yeah.
Do you know it could all crumble in a day?
I'm telling
you know what made me laugh?
And yet we're the bad guys.
Yeah. You know what made me laugh the other day, and this was a really interesting. I think this was Simon Jordan was saying that, you know, he said on TalkSport that he got a text from Daniel Levy when Spurs signed Van Hecker for 45 million, saying they got their pants pulled down. And he was saying that was Daniel Levy all over. He didn't care about the fact they're signing, you know, a world-class player to play alongside. You know, I think
he was more interested in his reputation.
One of the City podcasts was talking about, they're more interested in the money than the player, and you know, and I think clearly that has changed at Spurs. If they really go and sign, even though I don't rate him, Tonali and Fernandez for 160 million. Then that is a dramatic change in Spurs, and Spurs are, you know, they're a joke club, and they have been for 30 years. But they have the best ground in the country at the moment. Yeah, they have the best ground in the country, and they're a London club. So if they can actually,
they have the best. No, Rich, they have the best NFL ground in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's a good stadium. I've been there, and it's a, you know,
all jokes aside,
it's a pity it's never had a team worthy of it. But if they actually start taking football seriously and start spending 300 million on wages instead of thinking they're all clever by doing 150,
shoestring wages,
they've got a lot of room to improve.
And they've got the whole entertainment thing going on, which is what scuppered Real Madrid. Their neighbours complained, put noise complaints in, and they lost all the revenue from gigs. And it cost them a shitload of money, and still is. It's still in a local kind of council court in Spain.
Jeez.
That their neighbours have actually stopped them earning multiple millions of dollars or euros.
I mean, that's what
that means Atletico would probably be able to take all that business from them, because I'm pretty sure the Wanderers it's a new age ground as well too. I'm sure they'd be able to take all the summertime concerts away from the Bernabeu.
So they should. Go on, Atleti.
I must admit,
Give it the big
I must
one,
admit, I haven't been there to watch City, but I went to I don't know, about 7-8 years ago. I went to a La Liga game at the Bernabeu. I don't think I've ever been more disappointed by a sporting occasion in my life. The support was dreadful.
See, I've always considered it, and yeah,
there was 20,000 empty seats. We were sat next to about 400 English school children who'd come on holiday just on a school trip to see Ronaldo, I think, basically. And there was not much noise in the ground. Everyone was just eating a sandwich and stuff, apart from some fabricated fans behind one of the goals who were practically holding up the words and holding up these white signs.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly...
And every 10 minutes you might quickly hear like a Madrid.
Yeah. Like I've been like, I remember years ago going to the Parc des Princes and watching PSG. Fans, the Boulogne boys were brilliant. It was a absolutely cracking atmosphere. And I was really thinking, Madrid's going to be brilliant. And they were playing Athletic Bilbao. So, you know, it wasn't a minnow team. It was a relatively big game, and it was flat as a pancake. And there were more empty seats than I've ever seen at the Etihad as well. I mean, it was like...
Yeah, and it's like Madrid globally is put up as like this bastion of like, you know, it's incredible football, incredible experience, and match days are unbelievable. And then yet you look at the rest of La Liga and you look at the teams like Sevilla and you look at Real Betis and Valencia and that, and you know, the Mestalla is probably, I haven't had a chance to go to any Spanish football yet myself, but for me, if I had a choice, because I grew up watching prime, you know, Valencia back in the early 2000s, I thought they played great football back then. I used to watch, sometimes you get the occasional match, and also turn to sports here, and you used to see that Mestalla, the Mestalla where they played. That ground just was incredible. It just had this sort of appearance, like as if the entire stadium was over the top of you. Like imagine how formidable it would have looked if you're an away fan, or like an away player. But yeah, that's always had my interest. I think some of those clubs that are always, you know, the ones that are always competing for Europa Leagues, basically, they're the ones that always seem to have the best atmospheres in Spain.
Have you seen the Como ground?
Looks beautiful.
No, but I bet it's
mate.
Better
if I was a young player now and Como came for me, I'd be like, I'd pay for my own transfer.
Yeah.
Speaking of Italian and on the water, have you seen Venezia's? Have you seen Venezia's ground? Apparently, you have to take like 2 ferries to get there.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, Venezia have probably the most classiest like kits as well too, which is understandable.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good. Amar decided to become a member. Big up, mate. Thank you very much. And we always love your contributions to the channel, whether they're positive or negative. It doesn't matter, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, some of those Italian cities are like, we were in Italy last year, and you know, standing on the side of Vesuvius, looking down on Napoli, and thinking probably where Scott McTominay's, you know, his villa on the probably 10 miles south of Napoli, halfway to Sorrento. I mean, you look at that and you're thinking, you know, you can see why Donnarumma wistfully said he hopes to one day go back and play at home in Napoli, because even though he was at Milan from quite a young age, he's from Naples, and you can see, oh man, if you had that money and you're just living in the houses, you could be living down the coast there. And then Florence, you're in Florence and you're looking at, you know, where the Fiorentina players are, and like, you know, they're in their little Tuscan villas overlooking the mountains over the. You're thinking, wow, it'd be, you know.
Do you know, in Italy, and I'm thinking about this might be my retirement. In Italy, there's this group. There's a name for them. I'll look it up for you if you want me to. But it's basically a pastime for old men. They turn up at building sites and offer unsolicited advice to people who are
I saw this a few weeks ago. Yeah.
What are they called?
Such an Italian thing to do. Yeah. I had friends who I went to school with, and they lived in parts of Sydney where there was like big Italian communities, and like the dad would be out just like gardening and that, and there'd be like an Italian family who lives down the road, and like the grandfather never spoken to anybody in the neighborhood because he doesn't speak a word of English. But as soon as he comes over, he'll just like buongiorno or hello, and he won't say anything in English. He'll just stand there and just watch him just do all the gardening.
Right.
Yeah, just do all the gardening. Just watch him do it all. Yeah.
These guys are called the Umarels.
Yeah.
Umarels.
Okay.
If you Google it, there's some incredible photos of these guys, and it's exactly what they're doing. They're stood on the fence of a building site with the coffee. And
just watching.
So don't do it like that. You need to do it like this.
Oh yeah. Umarels, yeah.
I want to be an Umbrell. When I'm about 70, if I live to 70, I'm going to go to Italy and be an Umbrell.
Imagine trying to be an Umbrella in a city like New York, where pretty much everything's getting rebuilt.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
God.
Yeah. Imagine the
couldn't do
response
it.
you get from.
You couldn't do it.
Imagine the
Even
response you
the best
get-
Italian and even the best Umbrella in the world wouldn't be able to do in a place like New York. You couldn't. They'd
But
chew you
imagine
up
the
and spit you
responses
out.
you get
be
if you
spoiled
tried
for
to give a
choice.
New York builder advice.
You'd be spoiled for
Don't
choice.
tempt me. Don't tempt me. I lived there for 2 years. I've ruffled a few feathers before. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, guys, look, I think we'll wrap it up anyway. We've been on for, oh God, nearly 2 3/4 hours. But
Glad I could get back on, by the way.
yeah.
Always good.
Well, I switch over to lates at work anyway, so it's not too bad for me on tonight. But just before we quickly go, other news as well. Obviously, City announced the remainder of their Asia preseason coming up for the start of August. As we all know, they do have a match on the Saturday, the 1st of August against Internazionale of Milan at Hong Kong at the Kai Tak Stadium, which for anybody who's familiar with Hong Kong used to be where their old airport used to be, the famous old airport. And then a few days later, on Wednesday the 5th, they move to Seoul, South Korea, where they play the K-League All-Stars, followed by, weirdly, actually, this rematch from 2 years ago. They play Atletico Madrid also at the Seoul World Cup Stadium on Sunday, the 9th of August. If you do want to watch those games as well, too, it is being posted on the City app as well. You can watch those games live on City Plus as well, too. So if you've got a subscription with them,
that's good.
it's only a couple of quid a month, I believe. You'll be able to watch those. Rich, I think City football, we might be those games will probably be on about 7:30 at night, so we might be able to watch them. And you know what? For the first time, probably for the first time in about 10 years, it's a pre-season that I'm actually looking forward to. Like, just to see what new manager, just to see what the plans are. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll remains to be seen anyway. But look, guys, big up to everybody who was involved tonight in the chat. Trevor, Rich, Gov. Thank you so much again. We'll be looking to get back here next week as well. Of course, another episode of Blues Down Under. Keep an eye out on McKinney Way on YouTube. I know Martin's got some shows coming up. He did say something about there was some lunch in the city coming up, maybe a bit later on. Although Tone, I think, is stuck with work.
I think it's now, isn't it?
Well,
it's meant to be.
Tone did send a message saying that he's got caught up with work, so I don't know if unless Rich, unless you're going to move over.
Doing Thursday night chat. Someone's doing Thursday night chat. Is that Ozzie?
Yeah, but that's on Friday morning. That's
Friday morning for us.
Yeah. Otherwise, Thursday night chat. We should be back then anyway. But look, just keep an eye on the page. I'm sure Martin's got some other plans in mind. Probably another Blues Brothers as well. Anyway, but guys, look, we're well on our way to 10K. So I think Martin put it the other day. He said we're hoping to trying to get to 10K before the first ball's kicked against Bournemouth. If you're new, please like the video, subscribe. It helps us a lot, and we continue enjoying giving this content out to everybody, and obviously having a lot of fun along the way. So that's it for me. I'm your host, Pat. Of course, we'll see you in the coming days. Until then, up the Blues. Enjoy the rest of the World Cup, and come on, Australia. I hope we beat Egypt on the weekend. See you, everyone.
Take care, boys.